What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Alex G alongside this one, and we
No.
are. What are we? I don't know. What we are. This is the Couple of Things podcast. Yeah, whatever. So Doja Cat has joined the Illuminati. How you feel about that?
I would join if I was famous.
LOL.
Because I like being problematic. Let me put my hat on.
So that's obviously all jokes, but basically Doja Cat had a Eyes Wide Shut party. For those of you that don't know what that is, you should go watch the movie, and then it'll make sense because I'm not gonna sit here and explain it.
Yeah, good thing I watched that.
Now you
See,
get the
this is what
cultural, you
I
get the
know.
cultural
That's
context.
why it's good that you made me watch these things because I would have not understood the reference.
For those of you that don't know, basically,
We just watched it.
the Illuminati thing was a joke if I didn't already say that. But uh, basically, Eyes Wide Shut is a movie by Stanley Kubrick, where essentially this guy joins this sex cult, and that's all I'm gonna explain. And it's like underground, sort of like weird secret society kind of stuff. So Doja Cat, that movie is like iconic, especially amongst film buffs. So Doja basically recreated the Eyes Wide Shut party for her 27th birthday.
So was that like on the invitation? Like that was like the theme.
Yeah, that's why some
So that's why it was like sexual type. And obviously she was naked.
yeah some of the celebrities came up with the mask and stuff like that, like
Mm-hmm.
they had in the movie.
Was she naked the whole time?
No, I don't believe so.
Probably just for a photo op.
Yeah, so there's not really much to unpack here, but I just wanted to have fun with this one. So basically, people were assuming that she joined the Illuminati because of the party, right? The Eyes Wide Shut, weird secret
But why does it
society
have to
kind of
do?
thing.
Well, I guess because the whole point of the movie was like
No,
the elite.
yeah, wait. Also, her cake was black
Oh yeah, and
and
she
it had
had
the
the.
Masonic symbol on it.
But that's her trolling.
Okay, listen, I'm not saying these things. This
What did
is
she turn? 27. So what people try to say
27.
27 club?
Come on, listen.
Oh, you officially made it past the
What
first
what she
test.
do? What she do a couple months ago?
What when she shaved her head?
Come on, look, we putting the pieces together. She's one of them.
I mean,
She one of them. Defend it.
I think she was trolling because she knew people were gonna say stuff.
It is interesting though, because that's the funny part is that if it's actually real,
Yeah, if
like
it's actually real, then that's mad funny because right in our faces.
yeah, that's hilarious.
But I think she's trolling. Like knowing how she is, I really think she's trolling
She probably is.
because she knew people were gonna be talking about it.
Yeah, and then the nudity part, so it almost feels like people feel like, oh, she sold her soul kind of thing. And the people that think that selling your soul is actual, like you give, like somebody pays you for this for your soul and it
But
gets.
what I don't get is that she was always like this before she was even really famous. She was always sexual in her music and stuff, and like talked about like showing her nudes.
Well, she never did that.
No, she never did it, but she talked about doing it before. Like, oh, if my song gets this many streams.
Yeah, and then everybody was like, oh, she came through.
Like, she just seemed like that type of girl that would be like flashing people in like group chats. Like those calls that she was on, the like
Yeah.
chat houses. She seemed like one of those types.
Yeah. I don't know. You think there's any validity to it? Not necessarily the Illuminati thing, but do you think that the kind of like doing things like shaving your hair, I'm not going to say it's for attention, but somebody could say that is for attention, and then like doing this kind of stuff, do you think there's any like validity that there might be some sort of like weird industry thing?
I think the Illuminati is symbolic. I don't think it's a literal group, but I think it's symbolic that there are a lot of weird stuff that goes on in the industry, and it's more so. I think it's like when you get there, it's more so like the pressure that you're under that makes you do those things, which is like is an invisible group. Like I think the shaving hair thing, which I don't know because a lot of girls shave their hair. And she just always was kind of weird. Like her first like big hit was about being a cow and mooing.
It still slaps.
Like she just seemed like one of those like remember we talked about this before too how she's like kind of those like try too hard to be quirky type of girls. But I also do think there's stuff in that world where there's people that do kind of tell you to do certain things because it'll bring attention or. So I think that selling your soul is a literal is like a not a literal thing. It's like a symbolic thing because it's like once you're in that industry and you're signing these contracts, you are signing yourself away. You are selling yourself and selling your soul away to do anything for money. And a lot of times doing stuff for money ends up being evil
Yeah.
or harmful. Like I think the song WAP is, I don't think it's not progressive. You don't have to make, sorry, you don't have to make like progressive music, but it's like, come on, at the Black community, when are we gonna stop talking about the same stuff? These white people don't talk about this stuff in every song. It's every song. It's either gang violence or sex.
It's not every song.
Okay, let's go through Cardi B's discography real quick.
Well, if you're gonna pick a specific artist, well, we could do the same thing.
And Meg.
Okay, we could do the same thing with white people too. Don't do that.
But who?
With mad country artists, all they talk about is like getting drunk and like domestic violence. Like, but we don't listen to that. So how can we ever point it out? I listen to everything.
But the difference between us and them is they already have their place in society. We don't.
Like we would look at all the rock stars that exist,
no,
all the crazy stuff that they done, but they just never get called out on any of those things.
Yeah.
I'm not justifying what our music sounds like, but if we're gonna point people out, just the same way we have people that like Bruno Mars doesn't talk about any. Well, is he black?
I don't know what he is.
I don't know what he
He's
is.
pretty ambiguous.
Let's use somebody else. We could use. I don't know. Who else we got?
Kanye.
All right. Anyway, so Doja Cat, it's interesting. Even
Well, yeah,
if
the selling your soul thing, I think is figuratively.
yeah, and I think it is probably a troll, but it's definitely a troll.
Yeah,
It's
because
definitely
she knew people were gonna talk about it. Like I would do that type of stuff too if I was famous.
Nah,
You know, you can add one because then like all you're doing is feeding into it.
yeah, and that's the problem is that people will actually take it seriously. Like people really,
Yeah.
the thing is when you read some people's comments, they really believe these things.
Yeah.
And it's not like the whole selling your soul and like there's some higher power thing isn't far fetched. And like to a certain extent, it's true. Like Weinstein to me would be an example of like people that would
Selling
be
your soul.
selling your soul
Because
to
it's like
get
you
the,
know he's evil
Right.
and dirty and did some crazy stuff, but you still
did it. And it's
Yeah.
not in a literal sense of the devil shows up and then you do like a seance and that you
Yeah.
sign like your
but
soul
it's that
gets transferred.
you literally all your morals and all your
Yeah.
stuff goes out the window just for the sake of money and opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the selling your soul is like everything you believed in all of a sudden you don't practice anymore. For depending on who you are.
Yeah. It would be interesting if we ever found, I mean, because there's 100% that these things exist.
Yeah.
But if it exists in the way that
In the way that we think
we
it does.
think it does, like,
I don't think so. I really don't. I think somebody came out about that already.
I don't know, man. It's like
You
nasty.
think that, yeah.
There's like this industry is definitely nasty because
People might be real scared for that stuff to ever get out.
certain people have said like I forget the rapper, but he was talking about 50 Cent.
It was 50 Cent that said it.
Nah, that like 50 Cent or like G
Oh.
Unit, they were trying to like do something to him, like they were trying to get him to sell his butt.
That's weird. And then like we always see with the male actors getting them to play women.
Yeah,
It always seems like there's like some weird
There
fetish
is some-
behind the scene. Like even with Nickelodeon when we found out that guy Dan
Dan.
Snyder with the foot stuff.
you know.
Like looking back, it's so weird because like I always did wonder as a kid, like, what's up with all the foot stuff?
You remember when Nickelodeon used to have the foot as their logo? Do you remember
Yeah.
that? It used to be like the orange foot.
Yeah,
Crazy,
that's so weird, and like that's really sick. Like that's like the evil devil stuff. It's
bro.
like,
They had them pouring ketchup on people's
yeah,
feet,
and like they all were like every episode was like or every show and episode was always some weird stuff
That's
with
sick.
feet, right? Like, and as a kid, we thought it was kind of funny. Like, what's? But I used to be like, what's up with the feet stuff? But obviously, we didn't know that was like a fetish back then.
I still don't get the fetish, but
Me neither. Like,
somebody gotta explain it to me. But don't explain it to me. But yeah, it would be interesting. Obviously, this is a troll, or if it's good enough of a troll that is real, but it makes it
yeah.
it makes it so it's up in
Because
the air.
that's sometimes the thing. I think people will they use trolling as a mask. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, people are gonna think I'm goofy, I'm just trolling, but really I'm not. Like
Yeah.
really.
Because a whole bunch of stats came out. She has like a lot of, and I wish I had my phone with me, but she has a lot of records on like streaming. Like her and SZA's "Kiss Me More" is the most streamed collaboration.
Which is
song-
crazy. 'Cause I
song
didn't think
ever.
the song was that like lit,
It fits the audience, the
Yeah.
beat and the
and it made its round on TikTok.
yeah. She has a lot of she's like one of the most streamed artists. So good for her.
But do you think though? Because like, is there any other signs of other artists who are super successful?
That
being-
haven't done those things.
Like yeah, because like Nicki, Kanye, Adele, none of them ever gave me any signs that they were like doing some weird Illuminati shit.
Taylor Swift.
I feel like Taylor Swift has show sides.
Like what?
Well, nah. Yeah, you're right.
She's been trying to run away from the industry. Speaking of Taylor
I
Swift.
don't think she's been trying to run away from the industry because she's obsessed with it. She makes music all the time.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, like, run away from the powers that be.
Yeah. But then again, yeah. And I think she just likes making music. So I'm not going to say that she just does music for money.
I think she's projected to do like 1.5 or some crazy, ridiculous number. Or 1.2 first week.
Million sales?
Sales. Ridiculous.
I don't understand.
No, don't do that. I know you have the Kanye little thing.
No, I just don't understand, like, how.
She be making that heat.
Someone mentioned, isn't it funny how we always be like, don't look at me like that. I'd be like, Nicki, oh, she's 40. She don't need to be doing this. She don't need to be doing that. Taylor Swift is getting old, too. I mean, how many times are we going to hear songs by your exes? Like, that's all she, like, someone actually made that point. It went, like, mad viral. They're like, all she does is talk about exes. Like, all her music is about exes. It's like, can you not have one successful relationship? Like, you seem annoying. Like, how old is she? She got to be late. She got to be like, is she in her 30s already?
I would assume so, but she was super young when that Kanye thing happened.
She was 18 or 16 or something like that.
The only thing is, I get the
32.
Yeah, she's still young. I get the whole singing, rapping about the same content. I get that to a certain degree. I've always said that, like, what else you gonna rap about? There's only so many things in life to talk about. But my thing with the age thing and sexual stuff for both men and women, it's like at a certain point, it's like, all right, like, you got kids, like.
Yeah, I mean, she's not that age yet, but she's still older. Like, you're in your 30s. Most people are like at this point. You have your husband, like, who, like, why are you talking about exes and stuff? Like, that's music you make when you're like 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 19, 18. Like, once you're older than like 25, in my opinion, we don't want to hear about. Well, okay, maybe 25 is still young, but like, once you start getting to like 28, we don't want to hear about exes and stuff. Like,
do we not? Because I think we do. Is that not what?
Do we want to hear it from you though? Because I think at that point we're like,
clearly,
I think you're the problem. Like, I think you're the problem, Taylor.
But also, you're not necessarily like making music. I literally just saw an Instagram post about SZA. Like, somebody was like, "Oh, if you take my man, then I'm not gonna be like SZA because of the Weeknd song." And then she was like, if she replied to it, she was like, "Listen, if she take my man, then I'm not SZA either." Like, it was just a song. So not everybody.
People took the song to heart. There was mad people were like, I'm the Weeknd. I'm like, I would not be bragging about that.
Yeah. So she was like, wait a second. Just like Future was like, I don't even do drugs.
No, it's funny too. Actually, the footage that resurfaced of Beyonce doing the single ladies dance, like at Good Morning America, and like the joke was like it was 8 a.m. because like Good Morning America is mad early, so it's crazy when you see them doing those performances. Like, why she go so hard at 8 a.m. Like, she was going crazy.
And wasn't single.
And that's why I was literally watching. I'm like, look how crazy it is. Like, she's in the crowd, like, single ladies, come on, put your hands up. I'm like, and she's doing all that, going hard for people, and they're like, yeah, single, and she's going home to Jay-Z.
Yeah, you don't.
Like, I think that's so funny to me because people be going so, like, dying hard fans. They be going so hard for the music. I'm like, you realize all these people, like, Meg Thee Stallion, who talk about
it's
single.
all entertainment.
She's doing Spooky Night with Partisan Fontaine. Like, and meanwhile, you're sad laying in your bed crying because you take these celebrities' music as, like, a Bible for you. Like, yeah, Beyonce was like, single ladies, do your hands up. Like, don't act like Jay-Z's probably not backstage waiting for you. Like,
it's all entertainment.
It is, but people take it to heart because they're a little slow. They're little slow people in this world. They take the music to heart. They think, oh, me and Meg are relatable. All these people that make music for single people, where are they? Cardi B, she's married. Meg Thee Stallion, 2-year relationship. Nicki, married. Beyonce, married. Rihanna, just had a baby. And long-term relationship with A$AP. Like, all these people that people swear they look up to, like, yes, make music for single people. All of them are booed up, and you're lonely.
Anyway, so Doja Cat, yeah, she's not an Illuminati. It was all jokes. But moving right along.
Ow.
That's what you get. Calm down.
I was getting my coaster.
Toaster? Moving right along. Do you feel like Ice Spice gets...
Whack. I mean, sorry.
I could finish the sentence.
Wait,
and then
that just made me a hypocrite. My last 2 TikToks was,
yeah, it was.
How can I lose if I'm already Jones?
Do you feel like she gets an unnecessary amount of hate?
Yeah. I feel like no one could control unless you did something purposeful. There's no reason to get hate. Like she didn't do anything.
Yeah,
We made her famous.
yeah. Because all I see, basically, and the reason why I asked this was because um, I clicked on a random post on IG about her, and then I usually don't look at the post itself. I always look at the comments to see what people think, and it's just like the amount of like pure. It's like hate. It's like real hate, like
Well,
deep in your soul. It's like you feel like I feel like it's burning them inside.
a lot of people use the light skin thing, and I feel like it's the same thing when Gabby Petito went missing, where everybody was like, "Oh, all you guys do is care about these white people and they go missing." It's like, dang, like don't come at the actual person. You know, it's like you could feel how you feel, but it's not their fault. It's not Ice Spice's fault if yeah, maybe she benefits from being light skinned. It's not Gabby Petito's fault that yeah, the attention was on her because everybody made the attention to her. None of these people's fault, and like people act like it's their fault.
And my thing is, yeah, we can say historically lighter skinned people have an advantage. We can say that. But the way that they're using that, and I don't even see that as the backlash, but just as a response to that. When have we seen any light skinned female rapper or woman rapper, sorry, any light skinned woman rapper get any traction with music?
Cardi B.
She's not black.
Well, yeah, she's not black, but she's still racially ambiguous. But she still dabbles in black culture. Like she literally says the N word in her music.
Okay, name somebody else then. Because the ratio.
Who else is popular rapper? Lotto. She's mixed and she's blown up like crazy. And she's mixed. Who else? It was Nicki was the only person running except for a while, but look at the people who are kind of like. I mean, Meg Thee Stallion is brown. Nicki's brown. Lotto's light. Cardi B's Spanish.
We can't count her. Well, I guess if we're counting Ice Spice, I guess we could count
Well,
her.
yeah, historically,
They get a
rappers were brown skin or dark skin. Remy Ma, Lil Kim.
They acting like she won like 6 Grammys. Like I just don't understand the like.
Yeah, I
the
think
like killing because you know why?
people take it too far because like, come on, like the song was catchy. I don't think it's because she's light skinned.
Yeah, and it's
I think it's just the song is mad catchy. Like she'll phase out, probably,
maybe because I think we probably thought the same thing about Meg, and all she ever
Yeah.
did was continue to blow up. But my thing is like just the hypocritical part of it, I guess, because it's like the other music that gets praised is like not the equal judgment kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think people's main comparison is Flo Milli, and because Flo Milli has ran TikTok for like her and Doja been like probably the most popular two like artists, rappers of their songs like constantly becoming a thing. Like the one now is like feeling myself. I'm conceited. You heard that one? Like that's her. And then obviously I can't date no white man. That's that Mono Leo girl. And then you have Nicki, whose stuff kind of goes viral, but then you have Doja Cat, but she's like light skinned, so she don't really count. But I feel like people's main comparison is Flo Milli because it's like her stuff is always going viral, like her stuff. But then people feel like she's not really getting that same real world like hype.
And what?
But I think people also don't realize like Ice Spice is from New York, and New York people just always are outside. So it looks like she might be in that real world hype, but she just be everywhere. But then again, like when do you see like Flo Milli on like popular streamers page? Or
What is that?
like how Ice Spice was on Kai's stream? I mean, I guess she's from New Not only New York people be on his stream. Like he collabs with other YouTubers who are from all over the place or other streamers. Like, so it's like, why are you collabing with Ice Spice?
For the clout.
Yeah, but why not Flo Milli? Like, I get people's feelings of like they feel like talent wise, I would say Flo Milli is a more talented artist.
So why don't people?
So why does Flo Milli get that same hype?
Because people don't give her the same hype. You have to answer that because again, it's the audience.
That is true. Cause that's the funny part is like they'll blame men, but women are like the main contributor of female rap. Like they're probably the biggest listeners of female rap. And it's like the same thing with the WNBA conversation we had.
Yeah.
People would be mad about them, the pay gap and all that stuff. But it's like, do you support them?
But also, Flo Milli she's still more successful than Ice Spice, but like
she is, and her personality might be different. That's the thing too. Because she might not want to go on her stream. They might have asked, but she's not like Ice Spice is very like internet. If that makes sense, she makes her TikToks like she's very relatable to a younger crowd. I feel like Flo Milli kind of doesn't really like care for that stuff as much.
Yeah, because like they probably only did that stream because they're both from New York.
Yeah.
But also she's on the internet part, because part of the thing is the hate. The hate is what pushes all these things, right?
And she's new. And she has something that separates herself, like that hairstyle. Like, I feel like to be famous, you kind of have to have something that separates you. That hairstyle, not everybody, times they see it, they're like, the Ice Spice hair, like Cabbage Patch doll.
It's just somebody specific. I get it, of course. Like, I understand why people feel the way they feel about certain things, but I always just question, because when it's from the women, okay, right? Like, you get the most leeway from my perspective. When it's come to men that are like in the comments, that are like hate, it's like, where's, like, something's burning you inside.
The men stuff is always weird.
It's weird, bro. It's like, what'd she do to you?
I mean, I get some of the insults. Like, I know, like, one of the insults a lot of men make is that twerk that she always does.
Right.
Which is kind of, it's like, it's funny because the same twerk, I'm like...
Right, but then men will go beat off on OnlyFans to the same thing, so it gets confusing sometimes. So that's why I just wonder, like...
Well, I think maybe men are like, dang, like, she's kind of trash. The only thing that keeps pulling us back in is the twerk. So maybe they're just kind of like annoyed, too, that they feel like real female artists aren't really getting praise, and that all this girl does is go on stage, nobody's paying attention to her music, then she does that little twerk and then gets everybody's attention again. Like, I even saw this one tweet this guy made. He's like, damn, every time I was about to click out the video, she started twerking, like feeling like that she timed it. Like he was like the music was so trash, but every time he was about to click out the video on Twitter, she was there twerking.
I get it, but man, and I always sound like I'm defending her, but I'm really not. But it's...
Well, you could defend her because nothing she's doing wrong.
Yeah, it's just like...
At the end of the day, we made her popular.
It's just... My thing is about, let's be consistent amongst everybody. Because there's mad trash music on TikTok that goes viral and people just dance to it and there's no other conversation about it.
Even like the guys, too.
Yeah.
Like, there's this one guy who made a song and he's starting to become viral. And the funny thing is, too, there's always a lot of these artists, and I hate to sound like this because I'm like such a gatekeeper of like us. But it's always like these artists, like you hear the song, you're like, wow, that's kind of hard. But then you see them as like, who is that? Like, it's not like black people. I'm like Yeet. I was like, this is Yeet. Like, it's just crazy. I don't like the whole, because, you know, even the word Yeet is from Black American culture. Like, that was slang. So it's like, I don't really like the appropriation that be going on. Like, this one song I'll play for you. This guy was like, it's like an Indian, like 14-year-old.
It's probably tough.
Oh, Kanye.
Yeah. It's just interesting. Obviously, I understand.
This song.
Yeah. Hey, trying to not get copywritten.
I didn't get copyrighted. Some kid.
Yeah. They gonna take down the pod.
But I think I saw, is it him? I think it's him. Like, who is this? Who is this?
Making that heat. I'm about to send him some beats after
He
this.
from Canada too, I guess. Who is this?
I'm about to send him some beats.
Who is this nigga? So it's like, for me, I'm just like...
Yeah.
But
it's interesting. I always just think, it's always just interesting what makes guys mad, like men mad, because it's like, there's something there. And I'm not even just
what do you think is rooted in? Like, do you think men are allowed to, like, criticize women without it being there's something there?
Yeah, of course. I just think that it's when there's the hypocritical aspect of it, because it's like, on one hand, you have somebody twerking on stage and it's like, she's whack, she's corny, she blah, 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 blah. But then at the same hand, you see a vid and you're trying to find the OnlyFans link.
Yeah. Like, it'd be different if you make those statements and you literally don't watch porn. You're just like, that's just how you feel. You feel like women should respect themselves, whatever. If you want to have that mindset, fine.
Yeah. If you're going to be, oh, she a thought, blah, 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 blah. I'm like.
And so many guys who say that definitely have watched porn or still watch porn or OnlyFans.
It's like, bro, but you. That's the part that kills me. Because it's like, you feel, because you know why? Because what the thing is men use that as the way to like demonize women or demoralize women, is that, oh, she a thought, she blah, 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 blah. As a way to feel better about themselves or as a way to invalidate something.
Like to justify
and
them not getting girls, maybe?
That, but also the success that the woman is getting. And while I do understand women have that ability, the reason why they have that ability is because of men. So you can't be mad at
like, as a man, if you don't support that stuff, that's the crazy part. Like, men don't even realize the power that they have. Because it's like, if you just didn't support that stuff, all these people would go broke. Like, I was thinking about that today. Like, I was seeing I guess Drake had his birthday party.
Yeah, so I'm
And
lined
there
up.
was mad girls outside. I'm like, look at this stuff. Like, this is, first of all, this is sad. Like, you guys are all mad thirsty for Drake. Like, he's not wifing none of you guys here. I don't think the thing people realize too. Like, the type of girl that he would probably wife is not waiting in the parties to go thirst over him. But I was thinking about that. I was like, look at Drake putting all these like Cheney was there. I was like, and then you had people like taking like the paparazzi pictures. I'm like, and then Cheney, she got her house that we found out Kanye brought, and then she's got like a G wagon. I'm like, Kanye probably brought that too. Like, if he's still messing with her, because he says he has multiple girlfriends. And I'm like, she would be nothing if nobody cared for her BBL and like connection to Kanye. Like, easily she could be back to nothing, square one. But that's like so crazy to me. Like, you bash these women, but the power is in men's hand.
Yeah.
Like, heavily.
That's why I always be confused, because they were like, oh, she a thought, she this, but the second a thought pulls up on them or DMs them or something, then putting on their pants and go running out the door. So I'm all about fairness.
I feel that way about Ruby Rose, because for the longest, and
Oh
even
my
to this
God.
day, her comments are full of hate, like bad.
Yeah.
And a lot of it started
Industry pass around,
because,
blah,
like,
blah, blah.
and this is unfortunate because she's tied to males with cult-like followings. Like Cardi has a cult-like following,
Travis.
DDG has a cult-like following, Travis. Even though Travis, her connection with him isn't heavy, but it's still enough where people mention his name. And it's like, her comments are crazy. But I guarantee you, if she DM'd one of them and was like, let me pull up, they'll be like,
Yeah,
give
fumbling,
my address.
sweating.
Like, it's crazy.
I just always hated that. Like, just be consistent, my G.
Yeah.
Like, if you consume that lifestyle, consume it. Don't point out and try to degrade somebody else because you got to go deliver Amazon packages. don't be mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the hate is just as effective as the support. So if you really don't like somebody, just keep quiet, and that's it.
That's what I forgot who said that. I hope it's not Cardi, because I don't like her. But I feel like if Loki was her, said something about like, I feel like it wasn't her though, but it's like somebody said something about like, I love the hate. Like, you guys be running me a bag with the hate, all the engagement and stuff. I was like, people are so stupid. Like, that's the funny part. They don't even realize that you begin making these people so rich.
Yeah. Moving right along. So I don't know if you saw this TikTok, but there was a cheerleading squad. I should get the name, but I'm being lazy. And they did a dance to, it sounded like a New Orleans bounce, like beat. I've never heard of the song, but where she's like saying "touch on all my body," Adi. And they were doing the cheer dance on the track at a football game.
I've probably seen it.
You probably seen it. So basically, for those of you, for additional context, there was a dance cheerleading squad, and they were doing a dance to a song which I guess is popular on TikTok, and they did a choreography which was fire. It was good. It was great, and it was all black except for one girl that was white, and the conversation came up, and I wish I had the person's name of that sparked me to bring this up, but basically he was saying, why is it that whenever there's any form of black excellence or anything that happens, and a white person just tends to or a white person consumes it or does the same thing, whether it's like cooking something or a certain slang or a dance, if they're able to do it the same way that we do it, that we immediately ignore the black excellence that's already presently there, and we don't support them in the same way, because all of the comments in the video where, oh my God, Tiffany killed it, and we got to have Stephanie invited to the cookout.
Yeah, it's always like, and it's the same thing. Sorry to interrupt you, but the same thing like when that guy or that girl went viral for rapping that song, the Lil Baby song.
Yeah, Lil Baby and Drake.
And it's like, black people do this every day. Like, we rap music all the time, lip sync songs. But when she did it, like they gave her like mad followers.
Yeah.
Or like the stupid period girl. It's like, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So he was just saying why, because in that video, she's just one of like, maybe it was like 20 of them. Everybody else was black. So,
Yeah.
and the choreographer was black.
Yeah.
I don't think she was actually in the video, but she did a video after that, like showing the choreography of her, like doing it herself. But it just is always been weird to me about the whole like cookout thing. Like, I've said this because that's been a joke on Twitter forever. And I never really understood why we we be hating ourselves so much.
Even that, remember that white Kappa that went viral when we was in high school?
Yeah, I'm like Kappas do the same shit.
It's so weird.
It is very weird.
I wonder who's
It's a White Lives Matter
perpetuating
thing.
it. Yeah, literally. Like, you guys are literally proving Kanye's point. Like, white lives matter to you. Clearly, could you gas them up every day? You invite them to the cookout. You support their racist brands. What did we say earlier too that they do? We were in the car. I said it. You said something that black people do to support white people, and I was like, white lives matter. What did you say?
I forgot.
Ah, dang it. Yeah, you said something. I was like, yeah, white lives must matter then. Clearly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so weird. Like, but I wonder who perpetuates it. I mean, the whole cookout thing comes from Black American culture.
Mm-hmm.
But I do wonder what perpetuates it, because, you know, I always bring this up, but I feel like it's like I'm just learning more. But like, unfortunately, a lot of like immigrant groups get diluted into our groups. Like, we talked about it on the pod before. Like, a lot of, you know, this is stereotype, but like this like, stereotypes that black men hate black women. And remember we talked about it, we're like, and vice versa. We're like, nah, like Black American men and women usually, you know, rally behind each other, like from the beginning of time. Like, cause we were talking about like how a lot of, you ever noticed interracial couples is always African women and white men. And then I just feel like a lot of times since they move here, they get like, you know, it's the same thing when like somebody does a crime. Automatically as a black person did it, but they never separated by like ethnic groups. So sometimes people who do things might be foreigners, but then it gets grouped into just everybody black. So I feel like with this thing, I wonder if it's our people that perpetuate it. And I still, you know, probably it is, because the whole cookout thing is our culture. But then again, a lot of immigrant groups, especially from like, you know, Africa and the Caribbean, do have like a white savior complex, in my opinion. Like, I feel like they didn't start hating white people until like we were like the face of that. Because they literally be having like white Jesuses and stuff that they like cry to like in their lands. Like, I just feel like they really have this like white savior complex, and like they didn't come here and they pander to them heavy. Like, you see it a lot. It's unfortunate. Like, I've seen it in my own personal experience. Like, you know, people who were like, who I went to school with, who have African parents, who kind of like looked at me differently, but like was so like pandering to like the white students in my school and like their parents, thinking like that their parents were such like, you know, putting them on a pedestal almost, like, oh, like, we love you, but then like looking at like my family like, oh, them Black Americans, like them hood rats, you know. Mm-hmm. So I do feel like they have like a white savior complex, and I wonder if that's part of, if that gets mixed in. And I do think it's us too. I'm not trying to just call them out. I do think it's us too, and I don't know if it's linked back to slavery and just putting them on a pedestal, like they looking up to them like they're like master. Cause it's something. It's something. Cause it is very strange.
It's very strange.
It's, like, I can't even.
And what makes it even stranger is that if an Asian person were to do the same thing, they would look at them crazy.
Yeah.
Like when they dress like us over in Japan or any of these other countries, black people hate it.
Yeah, they usually be in the comments like, oh, appropriation.
Yeah.
And it's weird because they say appropriation for white people too, but it's like, look at who, like the main people supporting that period, our girl, it was all black girls like, oh, she killed that. I'm like, no, she didn't. Like, it's just.
It's weird.
It's so weird. And they gave her a clout. Like, now she's having meet and greets. Like, it's just like, you give them this weird looking like, look, what do they call people? Like, do they call them bastard kids? Like when they're mixed with like, you know, when they're like cousin type kids. Isn't that what they're called?
Relax.
That's not what they're called. Babe, look at her. You can't tell me she don't look like.
I know, but we don't come on this podcast and insult people.
You can't tell
We're
me.
having intellectual conversations.
You can't.
I know what she looks like. You don't have to pull it up.
Okay, Mama, so you can't tell me she don't look like she's related to, like she's from England, like she's related to George Washington. And she has cousins mixed in the family. It's just crazy. 2 million followers. And it probably mostly came from that, right?
Yeah. What did
Like,
it say?
look, this got 21 million views.
The one on the right said 56 million?
Yeah.
300,000 comments.
You know what? Period.
Don't ever say that again.
I never say period. I hate that word, actually. Even though it's Av, I just never say it. Like, I'll say point blank period. Like, but I don't say period. Like, what the? How I look stealing Florida slang, and I'm not from Florida. Period. This is so whack. I don't know. I just don't like people.
You also from the suburbs.
I am from the suburbs.
Of New Jersey.
But I had nothing to do with being from the suburbs because, like, people weren't talking like that. People are emulating the city girls. Like, people say period. Like, I've said period plenty of times. Like, I'll be like, Like, oh, I'm not going there, period. Like, I'm not going there. But now every time I say period in my head, I just can't even say it normally because in my head I hear period, you know? Nobody was saying period in
No, I
Franklin.
said it.
Were they? No, but you.
I didn't say it.
No, but I'm asking you.
I'm from the suburbs too.
Yeah, but you're still from you have a lot of urban people in your suburbs. Like you're still Central Jersey, like
Well,
home
not-
of like the Jersey Club. Well, not home of Jersey Club, but a huge factor of Jersey Club came out of your area. Like so, you grew up at least with a lot of black people. I didn't, but I grew up with parents from Brooklyn, so the swag was in the household, and I still never said "Huey."
People still said it, but not in that southern.
That's
cadence.
my point. That's my point. But everybody's saying it in the city girls say cadence, and they never even stepped foot in where the city girls are from. Like, I hate that. It's like it's literally appropriation, and black people could appropriate each other. We could. It's whack to me. But you see the comments, you see the views. Like that's sickening to me. Like seeing that she could just come up here and she probably had ancestors that owned slaves, and now she's profiting off of appropriation of our culture. That shit irks my soul, and it's our people that made her famous. A good portion.
A bunch of weirdos, but do not.
What do you think
do
is the root of it?
Do not extend the conversation. It's just one sentence
No,
that I'm
I'm
going to
asking.
say.
Yeah, I'm just asking you, what do you think?
That was partially Kanye's point. Was all I was going to say. Don't say anything else.
It was.
Okay.
Ooh, it was. I need to get that off on Twitter.
You said why what?
Why do you think that's the thing? Because I think it's rooted, like I said, I think it's the white savior complex that comes from a lot of foreigners and also us. And I think it's that slavery thing where we looked at them, we looked to them as like, they were the masters of our fate. They had the key to the freedom. But how does that keep getting passed down? Like, how do you still love a people that did your people so dirty?
I think it's because we hate ourselves.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, which sounds crazy because we obviously we love our music, we love the style, fashion,
the language,
like everything. We love everything about it.
And I would never trade being black ever
until it's compared to something that they do right now. For example, in being black and consuming another black person's content, like their music or fashion, their design, whatever it is, doesn't make them impervious to criticism. Like, I don't think that just because we're black, we all have to support each other. I don't agree with that because that to me sounds crazy. Like, but people hate Telfar. And while I'm not particularly fond of it, there's so much of a quickness to kill brands like Off-White and Telfar and anything black.
Yeah.
Like,
and I've seen a lot of tweets about that. Like,
gallery department.
Because me personally, I don't like Telfar. I don't have a Telfar bag. But when have you ever seen me publicly disparage the company? I just stay quiet. I don't buy the stuff. I stay quiet. I don't like the bags. Like, in my opinion, they look kind of flimsy, and the logos doesn't do it for me. Like, I don't really care for it. But have you ever seen me publicly go on a rant about it? No. But you see people who like, them flimsy ass, I hate them bags. You got a basic, blah, blah, blah. Like, I just stay quiet. I'm not going to publicly disparage a black company.
Or really any company.
Or any company.
Really.
Like, if you don't like it, just don't say nothing. Like,
yeah, but we're so quick to, we can never have somebody that, because, if Michael Kors made that same bag, it wouldn't be the same energy, or Coach or whatever.
Marc Jacobs.
Yeah, they made a bag called the tote bag on it.
And everybody walking around with that bag.
But then they got mad at Virgil for putting quotes.
Yeah, like all he did was pick quotes.
It's like,
okay. All they did was write tote bag on the tote bag. And they got that, and they probably got that from Virgil. They're writing the object on the stuff.
Yeah, because that's what he used to do. Table, rug. Yeah. Like, he used to do the same thing.
It's so nasty.
It's
definitely self-hate. And it's like crabs in a barrel mentality, like, or whatever, crabs in a bucket thing. Like, it's the same way everybody's so hyped about Kanye losing all his deals. Like, it's like, I had to bring it there. But we'll transition that later. But it's just, it's definitely some weird self-hatred stuff. It's definitely linked to that. And it's like people will swear. It's almost like, and I find myself being guilty of this too. Like, when you argue with a black woman about wearing wigs, and it's like, no, I love myself. And it's like, but do you really? Like, are you picking on someone else's hair? And I had to ask myself that too. I'm like, I mean, I really do love myself, but it's like, Do you love your hair
Yeah,
though?
I always said
And
that,
I love my hair, but it's like, I'll admit this is just easier.
bro. You can argue with a woman to the ends of the earth about the makeup and wig thing, but yo, there's something there. It is, and it doesn't mean that you don't love yourself, but
Yeah. But you don't love everything.
you don't love all of yourself.
And no, but I really do love my hair, but it's just too hard for me to deal with. Like, and that's sad because if you loved it wholeheartedly, you would deal with it.
did.
So obviously, there's something there, and it's just unfortunate
dealing
that I
with it-
haven't really got to unpack that yet. But
And dealing with it doesn't even mean you need to do anything to it, really.
it doesn't, because that's the thing. We as a society think we have to do something with it.
Yeah,
You could
because
just
leave it out.
leave it out in a fro.
But we so programmed to straighten hair and all that kind of shit.
That's so sad. White people really messed us up.
And yo,
But the first
if you-
the first step is admitting, and nobody will admit that.
and yo, you can't even have that conversation with the women. We don't do it for you. That's the first thing. We
They
don't do
snap
it for
at you.
y'all.
So
It's
like,
whoa.
like why are you so defensive?
Like it's okay. Like if that is the case, it's okay. Like just accept it and
But
deal
you
with
do
it.
have the question: why are you literally sitting there taking hours and hours
Out
and
of your
hours to
life.
glue hair lace onto your skin, and then to pluck it and tweeze it, and I do it. So I'm talking about myself. It's like you doing all that, and like, and in my mind it looks good, but why does it look good? Like why? You know, you gotta ask yourself why.
Yeah.
Why do you think that looks better than a fro? I can't tell you. Because it's so programmed in us, but at
Listen.
least I can admit that. Like people won't admit that, like you said, and it's like this black woman angry, bitter craziness that
listen,
they like to do, like
I've-
snapping.
I've always said it looks dumb as fuck to me because it doesn't even look like you don't even look like a black woman. Like, because it doesn't even, it looks.
I mean, this is more textured.
No, honestly, realistically, when I see a black
But
woman,
black women have hair texture like this. Like this is more like texture. This is like curly. I've seen black women with hair texture like similar to this, like a yaki.
yeah,
type of
but
texture.
that looks fake.
But it's not fake though.
No, I know, but it just doesn't. It doesn't look real to me.
Yeah.
It's
Compared to
just-
when I had my hair like curly.
Yeah, because you could tell, like, it just, I don't know. But that's okay. That's not what this conversation was about. But it is just a lot of, like, weird,
White praising.
yeah, like, you can praise us too. Like, a black
But even
woman
that
came up
whole,
with
like-
it. Like, why the choreographer didn't get the
Yeah.
same praise? Like, oh, she smoked that choreography.
Or even that whole like saying where it was like, "Oh, we rocking with Mark, 'cause Mark's rocking with us."
Yeah.
Like, why do you care if he's Mark is rocking with us? Like, it's just weird. It's,
Yeah, like it matters. And that's not to be, like, anti them.
yeah, like
It's just, like,
white people are cool. Like, I have no issues with them. I do feel like a lot of them are very tone deaf to their privilege and everything. But I personally don't have an issue with them on a daily basis. I don't walk around mad at them and hating them. But I'm also not sitting there and treating them like gods. Like,
for doing the same thing that 20 other people just did.
Yeah.
Or the creator of something just did.
and when the wealth gap is so wide already, why are we making more of them famous and then crying about it? It's like I saw TikTok earlier. They say black people are good. We're just in this cyclical thing. It's like because it's like the Black Lives Matter thing, and Trayvon Martin, and then like George Floyd, and it's like then it's just gonna go quiet again. And then somebody said like this is the same thing that happened in the past, and they got a lot of stuff done in the past, but it's like it's just these cycles. You make some steps, and then it's like it's no steps, and then it's just done. We just don't do nothing different. We're not trying to change as a people. It's really sad, actually. That's why I'm at a point where I'm just living for me. I want my reparations. I'm gonna be looking to see how Tariq's reparations rally go on the 5th. I'm hoping that they're doing a lot of work because I just personally don't have the energy to do the work or the time because I'm not going down to DC on Dad's marathons the next day. But you know, I hope that we get that type of reparations for our Black Americans, but that's all. That's as far as I could go. I'm looking at just our ethnic group, and that's it. And I'm hoping that we can make some progress. But I'm kind of exhausted. Like I'm just kind of over it. I'm kind of just living for me. Like I just figure out people are just so lost and just a lot of them are dumb and just never gonna change. Like even when I see videos of like moms talking to their kids the way like we gotta talk to them, like I'm seeing this in real time that nobody's changing. Like, where's the change? Like, why are you guys still talking to your kids the way that you? But a lot of people don't realize the way they were talked to was bad. But it's like now you see kids I'm saying kids, but people our age, filming like their kids on TikTok. Like, this mom was yelling at her kid, like, "Give me your phone. Why did you fight that kid at the playground today?" It's like, why are you recording this for TikTok? Like, it's like they want to sound like you see the jokes of like, oh, we're becoming our parents. And like, it's like people want to feel cool, like they're talking the way their parents are talking, right? Like they want to feel like that power now. Like, oh, now we the adults now. So now just because your mom yelled at you, it's like, go to your room, give me that thing. Now you want to just keep that cycle going because you feel powerful now. And now you like, oh, we wanted adults. We wanted the adults now. Like,
Weirdo shit.
so you keep perpetuating black trauma. That's what you're doing, right? Talking to your kids like they're objects and not people. And then recording it now on TikTok. So now you're adding another layer of trauma these kids are going to have to unpack now when they're adults. Like, not only are they being treated the same way we were, but now you're embarrassing them on the internet. This,
I better not see
I'm done with our people.
Yeah, yo, let me see my kid on a TikTok. Y'all better put your TikToks
Yeah, exactly.
and your IGs on private, because if I see my kid on a TikTok, I'm
know.
going to go flip that whole.
Like, who put my kid? Because people are just recording everybody nowadays.
Yeah, we ain't doing that.
I would never do that. Like, if I'm going to do funny videos.
Yo, bro, I'm not. Yo, me putting a phone. Yo, certain shit that people do, I can never imagine myself doing. Imagine me putting my phone in somebody else's kid's face.
Yeah.
For what? For some likes and comments. So,
Yeah.
Oh, you seem like such a cool teacher. What? To get your jollies off? Like, go get a fucking personality.
Even the teachers that do that, who record their students, like, you're weird. Like,
weird.
you're really weird. Why are you putting other people's kids online on TikTok? Like, this is so weird.
Go get a personality. Like, it's over, bro. Like, you're a teacher.
And these kids are not even consenting. That's the crazy part. You're not even getting their consent to put them online.
Just be a teacher.
Because you feel like because you had them or because you're their teacher, they're your property.
Stop trying to get clout. Like, you're gonna just be a teacher. It's over. No disrespect, but that wasn't supposed to be disrespectful.
Because like, that's why they're doing it.
You're trying to become the next internet sensation. It's like you're just gonna be a teacher, which is important.
Yeah.
But just be that. Then.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a social media star. Mm-hmm. Like, your job is important enough. Don't try to get clout, because it's like the same thing about everybody makes a account for their kid. Everybody makes an account for their dog. Everybody makes an account for everything. Like, it's over. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Some people got lucky. It's not gonna be you.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
That sounds like some hating shit, but
no, but it's true. Because like me personally, like I'm not doing none of that. Like,
cause tell me the difference.
My kid's not getting an Instagram until our kids not getting Instagram until they're at the age where they ask, and if I feel like they're old enough, then I would say yes.
And if you say no, they're still gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, and I wouldn't care, honestly, because we're not that far removed from when we were that age, and I can understand just living your life and learning. You know, you can't stop them. Don't have kids if you want to have control over people. You can't stop them from doing what they want to do. You're not your property just because you gave birth to them and feed them. Like, they're still a human being. Don't have them. I saw a really good TikTok about that, actually, about how like this couple that like just got married and like everybody keeps asking when they're having kids. And she's like, as of now, me and my husband don't want them. And she was like, the reason why is because, like, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready to raise somebody for 18 years and they might hate me and turn their back on me. Like, I'm not ready for that. But people don't be ready for that, and then they go crazy. If you're not ready for that possibility that you might raise this kid for 18 years and then they might be like, F you, then don't have the kids. It's not a requirement for life.
No.
But yeah, I don't even know how we got into that.
Yeah. That's all I had on the black topic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about, our people. Yeah. I'm exhausted, honestly. Like, there's nothing I can you can't there's no I don't know what it's gonna take for our people to change. We're so programmed deep into our BS. And
I got one last comment, and then I'd prefer to move on. But my last comment is that I think every instance of something new coming along sets us back. And here's what I mean. So it's really specifically technologically related. Mm-hmm. Like, we had our mentalities of, like, we've always had that mentality about certain stuff. Oh, if you got the polo on, that means this. So you got to go grab the polo and the Tommy Hilfiger, like all this, chasing all that kind of shit. But now with, Facebook pops up and it's like, oh, I got to be flexing on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And then Instagram pops up. Oh, I'm flexing on Instagram. Twitter pops up. Oh, I got to sound like I'm this on Twitter. And then TikTok pops up and I got to sound like I'm this. It's always something that's going to set you back. Yeah. And people are just going to keep spending their money, getting misinformed on the internet, taking and adapting their personality from their favorite rapper or favorite social media personality, and just continuing to set people overall all the way back. And you see the influence of, now, I don't have anything against Yeat personally.
Who?
Yeat.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy his music, but you see the influence that someone like that has on the kids. Like, you see kids buying the balaclavas, yeah, and like trying to be that whole, like, take their pictures a certain way. Like, you see it.
Misunderstood.
Yeah, and people,
the Cardi thing. Yeah.
And people adapt that into their personality, and they try to find videos of how the person talks and like what they do, and then they try to become that, and that just sets everybody
Yeah.
backwards. Not that there's anything wrong with Yeet, but the difference is that Yeet is probably, because I would assume I don't have access to his bank account. I would assume he's a multimillionaire at this point, and it's different a multimillionaire doing something versus you doing something
Yeah.
when you're not that,
Yeah.
and you're working probably an hourly job if you have one.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between those things, but people will adapt that personality, or like personalities like Future. Like people try to get that whole
Yeah.
she for the streets, I'm this, I'm that
Yeah.
kind of thing. People want to emulate that, or the Drake personality.
Yeah. Like try to be the pretty boy with the shaved brows and like the
Whatever.
trying trying to look like him, talk like him, dress like him. We've seen it.
Yeah, or like 20, like just whatever rapper it is that, or whatever celebrity or prominent person, people try to take that personality, and they're
It's so weird
millionaires,
to me.
and they're successful off of it. But you're not gonna be successful off of it.
You're gonna be successful with being yourself.
Yeah, but
That's the thing.
unfortunately,
I dress certain ways because I like see certain. I'm like, okay, this is like cute, but it's still me. I still put my own twist on things, and I'm still me. I don't change my personality. I'm still annoying and weird. I'm gonna be that annoying weird person that just dresses nice. Like that's gonna be me. I'm not gonna try to act like somebody else. Like I just saw a TikTok today too, where it was like people said, you realize not everybody can be an it girl. Like this whole it girl thing. So it's like how we were talking about the other day, like that conversation we had about people thinking they're 8s and 9s and 10s. It's like you can't all be it girls. And this one girl said, who are the it girls that we know of? You have people like, they said like Marilyn Monroe, she bleached her hair, like, you have people like Rihanna who did that tattoo on her chest that you have all the other girls copying, but Rihanna did that first. Like, that makes you it girl. Doing stuff on your own and doing it on your own time. Like, Rihanna had a pixie haircut in her 20s. Like, not a lot of girls are doing that. And she put that big, whatever that tattoo is on her chest, because that's what she liked. That makes you an it girl. But you copying Rihanna getting that tattoo doesn't. Like,
correct.
Everybody looks exactly the same on the internet. Same lashes, same hairstyle, same personality, same fits from Shein. It's like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing the same stuff. I'm tired of it. I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Moving right along.
I was gonna say something really crazy about our people, but I'm not gonna say it.
Good. Keep your mouth shut. Moving along, there was some earthquakes in the podcast world lately.
But
Nothing. Just Joe and Rory and Mal going at it all again for the millionth time since their
they're all
breakup.
obsessed with each other.
Now, we did do one video a really long time ago about this, but might as well.
Did. That's like early in our
podcast
early
days.
days.
We might as well start from scratch again. Now, obviously, they had the big breakup, which was said to be over $400,000 that was taken or missing, that Joe allegedly, supposedly stole from Rory and Mal, and then Joe subsequently fired them.
Yeah, live.
Right.
Was it live?
It wasn't like live. It was like on the air.
Yeah, in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't live.
I mean, not on the air, but like it was in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, since then they've just been going back and forth, sending subliminals, because of course, when you've had a major part in somebody's life, and especially if it didn't end well, sometimes when you reference certain things, or somebody might still be salty, those little shots are gonna keep getting thrown back and forth. And that's what's been happening ever since that breakup.
Yeah, and just to interrupt a little bit, like we said this off camera before, like I'm guilty of that because I hate the whole, like, when you talk about people from your past, that it's like it makes you seem like you're pressed in some way or obsessed or bothered. It's like, no, these people were part of my life. Like, if you were a friend of mine in college, you were part of a huge part of my life, If you were a friend of mine for years, over, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lifetime of years, you're going to come up sometimes because you were part of my life. Like, there's no way to just avoid you. Doesn't mean I'm sitting up thinking about you every day and upset and crying and mad or angry. No, but if we're talking about something and I have a relatable story about it, I'm going to bring it up. Like, I don't mean I'm pressed. Like, trust me, I'm not. But if you, it's like that. Like, Rory, Mal, and Joe, like, they made something major together. Like, was making money.
The number one podcast at one
So,
point.
I don't think any of them are pressed. Like, I just think they come up in conversation. And this is still really recent. It's only was a year and a half ago, right? Not even.
Especially if you haven't talked to the other people.
Yeah, especially if you didn't even really get closure. Because you can have a closure and still not have closure. because a lot of stuff is still like, oh, I should have said that. I should have said that. Like, there's still a lot of unsaid stuff or apologies that they probably feel like, I didn't get apologies from certain people, and Rory and Ron probably feel the same way. They didn't get an apology. So if there's really no closure when you don't get certain stuff from the other party, and it's like, it's gonna come up. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah. So for background, even though you should know it if you're watching this at this point,
Yeah.
Joe allegedly stole $400,000 from some accounting error that occurred, and he was negotiating deals on the side without consulting Rory and Mal. Now, from his perspective, he had his name on the show, like the show title was the Joe Budden Podcast, which they agreed to as well. And also, from his perspective, he was the one that was funding all of the podcast costs for whatever that might be, whether it's, the website that's hosting the podcast, like their RSS feed, which gets sent out to whatever platform, Spotify, Apple.
Like Buzzsprout.
Yeah.
That we use, yeah.
So he was probably funding that. I don't know.
Somebody had to buy the equipment.
Right. The equipment. They also had the videographer, Erickson. I don't know if he still does it now, but you have to pay the videographer every single session.
And they're like interns that they had, like Alex and who else?
Savon,
yeah.
They have to pay those people. I'm not sure if they paid Parks for using his space, but they might have.
I would hope so.
What else? When it comes to,
unless it was equal trade somewhere, but if you was in my house recording every week, I would want some too.
Yeah, and I would assume on like going on tours and things like that, that from his perspective that he funded the expenses
like the bus.
For those things, right? Because they're not signed to a label. It's not like going on tour as an artist.
Somebody got to buy it.
Somebody got to pay for it. So from his perspective, he owned the intellectual property, which I believe they agreed to as well, they being Rory and Mal. And from his perspective, and I have to keep saying from his perspective because we don't know what is true, but just from what we've heard. So he owned the IP of the show, funded it, and his name was on it. Mm-hmm. So because of that, he feels that it was more of a employer-employee relationship with Rory and Mal as opposed to a partnership, which they, from their perspective, feel like it was a partnership. And now there's a big difference in there because if it's an employee-employer relationship, you're not entitled to anything. Mm-mm. Because yes, you work for ShopRite and you stock the shelves, and that is a benefit, but you're getting paid for yourself. Service. Yeah, you're getting paid for a service. That doesn't now entitle you to the rights to ShopRite to own part of the company. And that's Joe's perspective.
Yeah.
Rory Mal's perspective is that it was a partnership and that ownership is shared amongst them, which is a huge difference. And if you share ownership, then that means that decision making should include all the partners, and money should be split.
There should be percentages.
Not necessarily even, but there should be something specific. Yeah, percentage of any revenue, profits, whatever.
Yeah, that's tricky. I mean, their issue is they never established that ground, and I think Rory and Mal should have established that from the jump. Yeah. But then again, they built it together, so they kind of was learning the ropes and understanding their power together, and that's their point. Rory and Mal's point, like this podcast wouldn't be what it is without us.
Correct.
Like we did this together, and to Joe's point, it's like you could still be an employee and still did it together because like that's how we do stuff for our companies that made an impact. Mm-hmm. We still did this together. Like my company wouldn't be what it was without, or what it is without the employees. Mm-hmm. So it's like, but that relationship was never properly established, and it should have been from the jump. Like even if you don't think it's gonna go, I mean, even if you don't know how the success of it, it should still be kind of somewhat spoken on easy, like early. Like even if it wasn't right away, the first sign of success, it should have been all right. Like we kind of bubbling. Like, what's our arrangement?
Yeah.
But I think to Rory and Mal's point, they probably thought like beyond business. Like this is my friends too. Like, so my friend want to do me dirty.
Right. And also in addition, if their perspective was that it's a partnership, then when doing things like the Spotify deal or any other deals that they have, that they would have been involved negotiating that. So
that's true. And they should have known that. And maybe that's when they started getting suspicious. Yeah. But still, they still sat around.
Personally, I feel like they really wanted to do the Spotify deal because it was life-changing money. I forget how much it was. What was it, like 50?
Yeah, because you could tell like right around the time where Joe declined it.
Yeah.
It was like those, like the energy was like, you could just tell like like Rory is like, yeah, like, you know, it's like pretending that you're like fine with it, but you could tell they probably like, are you serious?
Yeah, because he was trying to hold out for, because the phrase is like, wait and then make them pay double. So like wait until you have
He should have accepted that and then made them pay up later, but just take that first.
The only thing is what Spotify was asking for was kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Because they were asking for rights to Say Bond's podcast. They were asking for like a lot.
And that's when you kind of got to be on like the
whoa.
side of like, you know, when you see people like Kanye, Nicki, and Joe, like all three of them, I feel like are in the sense where they act out, but all of them probably have a point. Like none of them be wrong with when it comes to this contract stuff and like the mistreatment.
The only thing
especially being black.
The only thing is, did Joe end up making that money that he would have made? Like if he would have just took the deal, I don't know. Because does that money ever come back? Because now that their value was all of them together, is that money gonna ever come back? I don't know. I don't know. I can't say no.
I don't know what Joe's long-term plan is now.
Yeah, but he seems to be doing well. I haven't watched it.
I haven't watched it either, but the views seem
it's lower, but
still steady.
But
200 range. Which is still a lot of people.
Yeah, it's still
200,000 people watch.
That makes you money.
A lot of people.
Plus whatever they make on streaming, and you doing that multiple times a week.
Yeah.
That's like you're pulling like a million.
Millions of views a month, millions, tens of millions. Of views
So I'm more in their new setup. It looks like they're probably in Edgewater somewhere in a nice condo.
You think? You think
looks
they're
nice.
from New Jersey? Yeah, right. Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would assume so.
Because most of your staff is there. Where does Ice and Ish live?
I believe both in New York.
Before they used to film in New York
Queens.
originally, right?
They used to film in like Astoria, I think. But anyway, to get to the recent debacle, of course shots keep getting thrown back and forth. But Rory and Mal have been expanding and continue to do interviews and things with prominent people in music, and they did an interview with discussion. I would say it wasn't really an interview with Sci-Hi the Prince. And Sci-Hi, for those of you that don't know, extremely accomplished songwriter. An artist, has written a lot for Kanye. Wrote songs like Sicko Mode and just a ton. Like basically so many Kanye songs, it's like ridiculous.
His money's probably crazy.
And then wrote for Travis, and his money's probably ridiculous. So he has beef with Joe, which was rap beef from a while ago, and they never really seen eye to eye. And it was, from my understanding, it's just a rap, competitive, lyrical kind of thing, because Sci-Hi writes for real, because he writes these hits. He writes, and Joe, of course, crazy pen. So I think it was just a rap thing. But now you're on a podcast. You got three people that have some feelings about somebody else. Is bound to come up.
It's like recipe for disaster.
Yeah. So it came up, and then Mal went ballistics.
And we talked about this before. You could tell Mal's the more hurt party because their friendship was longer.
Right.
Like they actually had like a friendship.
Yeah, for
and
a
like
long
Mal
time.
probably was like, dang, like I thought you was like my man, basically. Like you was my right hand man, and like you did me so dirty. And then he disrespected him, like saying I don't have to have respect for you.
Yeah, that was nuts.
And for a lot of men, I feel like that whole respect thing, and women too, like someone not saying that they don't have respect for you, that's like crazy. That's like fighting words. Like you don't respect me, like as a person, as a friend, as anything.
And he also said that Mal said that it wasn't about the money; it was about the respect thing.
Yeah. And Joe just disrespected, like not even just disrespected him, but he disrespected him publicly, like on their huge platform, in front of all the people that he helped bring to the platform.
Mm-hmm.
So you could tell Mal's the more like Rory kind of was like, you could tell like they were cool, but they weren't like besties. Like they were like decent, good friends, and like had like, stories and stuff. But you could tell from Mal like that's why he went off.
Yeah. And also, in addition to, from Rory and Mal's perspective, they believe Joe is of the belief that his name is what brought the podcast to prominence, when that's not the case. It's everybody collectively, and I don't think that Joe ever sees that.
Yeah, like that's what I was trying to explain this to my mom the other day, because she compares what's that guy D-Nice to like what's her name, the one that became popular for the vegan food, a black woman,
Brown.
Tabitha Brown. Yeah, I'm like, why are you comparing Tabitha Brown to D-Nice? Because she feels like D-Nice was bubbling a lot during COVID, and like he did have a lot of people in his lives. So she feel like he didn't leverage that like Tabitha Brown did. But I'm like, the difference between Tabitha Brown and D Nice is Tabitha Brown built her platform from scratch. D Nice already kind of was known and used the fact that he was kind of already known to bring attention to his lives. But I'm like, that's not the same. Like, he can't just easily, like, especially he does music, like in Tabitha Brown's lifestyle. You can't easily segue you doing lives on Instagram into being a lucrative business. Like Tabitha Brown made her being a vegan and like the family life, and she made that into, she has clothes, she has a cookbook now, she has cooking, like a spatula she sells, she has spices, she has a whole bunch of, I think, hair care. And my mom was like, oh, D Nice didn't leverage his brand, his name. I'm like, but that doesn't always work. Just because you have a name for yourself and like did music and like you were popular, doesn't mean that you're gonna just automatically fame comes with it. And I told her, I'm like, that's like the same with Nicki. Nicki's Kmart clothing flopped. Her mixed Moscato, I don't think that she hasn't talked about it. I don't think that her Moscato really brought a big profit. I'm like, how many celebrities have made clothes or shoes and stuff that's flopped? Like Drake's OVO shoes didn't go crazy, you know? So I feel like it's the same thing with like Joe. Like just because you have a name and people know you doesn't mean that it's automatically success. And I think his ego is so big that he thinks it is. Especially because he did like radio and he was like on like talk shows and stuff, whatever, before that.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, you starting the podcast, your name is going to bring that initial like, oh, what's Joe up to now? Doesn't mean it's going to build an audience.
Yeah, the audience was literally there for all three of them, and that's why
Yeah.
the views say that too. As
Yeah,
well.
the views do say that. Like, and people say that all the time on Twitter, like that the podcast hasn't been the same since they all left. Like, even one person said like Rory and Mal, he thought they were cool, but he's like by themselves they're boring. He said that. He's like, Joe, I thought he was cool, and he's like, the dialogue with him and Ice and Ish seems more structured than it was with Rory and Mal, but he's like, but it's still missing that like funniness, friendliness, like.
So it
like,
seems serious.
Yeah, it seems like more serious. And I'm like, exactly. They were a good mix, and like Joe, his ego is so crazy. Like I can't imagine being that egotistical, and not being like, you know what? Yeah, we did build this together. Like,
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
but anyway, I promise, guys, we're gonna get to it.
I know, my bad.
So Maul threw some shots basically saying that they all built it together and that every time Joe spends money, and he named a bunch of things, like anytime he throws money on somebody or is paying prostitutes or whatever, or anytime he buys a car or whatever, that's all Maul's money that he paid for it. Which, in my opinion, I don't think that that's wrong. You did build something and you are profiting off of, either directly the money that the pod, because the thing is, Joe owns the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
and
so he's still making money from past
old
views.
old podcasts, and I think that was a part of their deal anyway.
Yeah,
was that Joe was gonna
retain
get all the YouTube revenue,
and the money he's making now.
Right,
it still has a hint of this is money making from a show that was built off of two other people.
Mm-hmm. Now Joe does have his own independent. I don't know if he does it anymore because I haven't been paying attention, but I know he has had his own like. His own, I don't know what you would call it, but he would, what was it? Always called the pull up, where he would have like rappers come, like Rick Ross. I think he did one with Lil Baby. I feel like he did one with Meg too. He would have people pull up and he would kind of like interview them, which was completely separate platform, same YouTube channel, but different.
The other thing he did with Nicki.
The first,
remember that one that he did recently. He was like in a house or something. It was just him and Nicki.
Probably, because I think they did like, how many interviews did they do? They did one.
They interviewed Nicki on the podcast before.
Yeah.
But this one was like, it was just them two.
Them two.
It was like sitting face to face.
I don't know if it was.
This was like this year, I'm pretty sure too.
Yeah, because we watched it, but I just don't know how he brands it.
Yeah,
but it probably was a pull up because it was just him and not anybody else on the podcast.
And the camera setup, everything was different.
Yeah, but obviously Joe responded, said that he didn't steal anything.
Still can't admit it.
I don't know. It's just.
I feel like just be real though. Like you could admit it. It's obvious. It's just too obvious.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to, like, I mean, not nobody, because I admit when I'm wrong, but a lot of people don't like to admit when they're wrong.
Now, Joe said that he feels like Maul never carried his weight.
I mean, I could somewhat agree, because I feel like there's been times where you watch the pod and Maul is just kind of sitting there in a little high chair that he was in and just like kind of on his phone sometimes. You could tell like he maybe didn't really want to be there, but
the thing about it,
and I
though,
feel like Rory was a lot more interactive.
yeah, he was, and I would agree with that. The thing about it, though, in that, I forget who said it. Maybe it was even Charlamagne that said it. But when it was somebody that said it, but when they were like when Maul showed up to the podcast, because it was originally just it was who was it? It was Joe, Rory, and Marissa, and then Joe fired Marissa, and it was just Joe and Rory, and I think Ice was there, if I remember correctly, and then Ice stopped doing it, and then eventually Maul showed up, no matter what, and then the whole podcast became completely different. He brought like that comedic relief, like
Yeah.
even literally from the first episode.
And that's like the thing about Maul. Like sometimes you need a dynamic. Like he might not be like, and that's why I'm kind of hypocrite because like he might not be that bubbly personality. Like not everybody's like that, but that doesn't mean they're not bringing any value.
Yeah, and
Like he seemed like a nonchalant, chill guy.
but also that's sometimes though, because sometimes on the podcast you laughing and like
Yeah,
be the loudest one, but
Yeah, that's
but it
true.
all just depends.
depending on the subject matter, you could tell, or just maybe the day.
And the reason I bring that up is because I saw other people's responses to this saying that he didn't even start from day one, so how is he owed anything?
He started from like episode 10, like
Nah, it was I forget what it
okay,
was.
about 10, maybe
It
like
was-
30.
Nah, I think it was even longer than that.
Really,
It might have been
like 50.
under 100, I think, but maybe 70. I wish I had.
Definitely
the
wasn't
actual
100. 'Cause I forget. I remember the 100th episode, and he was there.
Yeah, I forget. But he definitely wasn't there from day one. But Rory said that the original, even though he wasn't on the initial episodes, the podcast account itself was registered to his name,
And I think
his email address or something.
what proves the impact is if you just look up Joe Budden podcast clips, all the clips that are the most popular is when it was them three.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Nicki interview, like that was popular. The Pusha T interview after the Drake diss was them three. Like anything that was like when they really were popping off and everything that was considered one of their funniest moments is them three.
Yeah.
It wasn't the rest of the other people.
I just see a lot of invalid arguments about the like people try to take away their importance to the podcast, and they're like, well, if it wasn't for Joe, well, we know the other two, and it's like, no, you might not necessarily know the other two, but you also wouldn't probably know of the podcast if it wasn't for
Like
them
you have
either.
to give credit to everything. Not one thing is more important than another. Like
Yeah.
Joe's important is not like him. Like and yeah, okay, you could give Joe the credit. Like yeah, you brought all of them together. You created this platform. Like that's great, and you use your name to bring the attention to it. But then you still have to give the credit to like, but Rory and who he is and Maul and who he is still what made this a full complete package.
Mm-hmm. That's what people would tune in for.
Like if Joe was just doing this podcast on his own, nobody would watch it. Like
Because people don't even like Joe like that.
they don't. Like I don't think people realize that. Like Joe for the longest, like I think the podcast actually for me personally saved face for him because I never really liked him, but the podcast made me like I'm like okay, he seemed like a little annoying but tolerable. Like this is a good show. Like I'm not gonna lie and say that his podcast isn't entertaining. What made it entertaining? He needed that dynamic of two other people.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just him.
Yeah, because everybody's whole perspective was that Joe was just some angry guy screaming. But
Yeah.
like the podcast made it so
And a
he
hater.
could tell stories and be funny and joke around.
And
Like,
relatable.
yeah, like gave him an outlet, I guess, to
He literally was kind of compared to academics, like as far as being like a hater. Like people just
Yeah,
think he was like some
professional
bitter hater who flops, whose career flops, so he's just hating on a new artist.
yeah. But I feel like the podcast and Rory and Maul's involvement helped to kind of like not necessarily reverse that, but it brought in a whole audience, like a large audience of people that were able to see something completely different. And like even like if you're on YouTube, like there's compilations of all of their like funny moments together that
Yeah.
gets hundreds of thousands,
Yeah,
if not millions of views.
That's what I was saying. Like anytime you look at those clips, it's just them three.
And
It's
when-
not the prior people or Ish and Ice. It's
And
them.
when the podcast broke up, what happened to those YouTube channels?
Yeah.
They went on to something else. I know Loaded Clips, who was one of the people that did those compilations, he completely went on to something else. He was like, well, no point in doing this now. And that just goes to show you the importance of all three, like their dynamic, because
Yeah.
they were great together. And then, like even what Maul was saying in the recent video, he was like, we had something great, but
It's a shame. Like
it is
it's,
a shame.
It's like,
It was the greatest show ever.
and we said we're gonna bring up Kanye too a little bit later, but it's like it's actually like crazy seeing people sabotage their lives like live. Like we seen this Kanye stuff happening like in real time, and we seen this happen. Like remember I was saying it sucks because like we watched this podcast separately, And when we moved in together, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, we could watch the pod together. And then they broke up like a month after we moved in. I'm like, of course, the podcast will break up when we moved in together. I'm like, dang, like, you know, we could actually watch it together instead of watching it separate. But I'm like, seeing, you know, we seen that in real time. Like we literally watched them fall apart in front of our eyes. Like we saw the pod when they was fucking crazy, and before he deleted it, and like we literally watched it happen in real time. And I was like, watching people literally sabotage and like fumble a bag is so insane to me.
Yeah, and the thing is, of course, they'll both parties will be all right. Like,
yeah, but it was like you just prematurely stop something great.
But
Like
together, they could have been, you know.
we would have had like years more, a lot more years probably with them.
Yeah, and you know,
probably for a long time. You see, Academic's been around forever.
But he's a one man show.
I know, but I'm saying like having like his show like has been around forever. Like so, I could have predicted like if they didn't have this fallout, they probably would have been around for another like 5-10 years, possibly 10. I mean, 10 could be a reach.
Yeah,
5 years maybe.
Yeah, they definitely could have went to the moon and secured a crazy bag.
COVID like slowed down, so
people was
the
home.
touring would have been back. Yeah, people were home. Yeah, that's the crazy part. They missed out on the people at home bag like heavy. I know they made a lot probably when the falling out happened because everybody was going to each other's things, but
yeah,
March 2021 or whatever, what was it? April 2021. It was like early like that. Yeah, like you had 2021, people were still at home. Like,
oh well, it's definitely a sad situation because we lost out on a lot of funny content. Like I used to tell you all the time about just funny stuff that they used to say on the pod.
And this is crazy too because like. When I started watching it was 2018 because I remember that's when I first graduated, and I used to just listen to it at work because the job I worked at, obviously I was able to be on my phone more like, so I used to just have my headphones and listening to it. So I just had memories of listening to their podcast while working and catching up with all this stuff.
I don't know what I would have done without their podcast working when I was working.
I know, because that job I had sucked. It was just like not a real accounting job at all. Like now I can't listen to stuff. My job is so intense. Like I can't even watch TV sometimes.
I would watch the same episodes over and over again, watch the compilations. I like never stop watching their show. Their show was mad funny.
Yeah.
But it's a shame.
It's a shame.
It continues. Hopefully at some point they sit down and, well, actually I don't really know if that's valuable.
I don't know if they'll ever actually get together again. I think they would do, potentially I think they could be somebody that brings them together. Maybe not on either of their platforms, but like a neutral platform. But I don't think they'll ever do their podcast together again.
No, definitely not.
That's over.
If I was Maul, I wouldn't do it either. Mm-mm. I wouldn't even.
Maul seems like he's set in his ways. Like, I'm like that. Like once you cross certain boundaries,
what's the point?
We never gonna be back.
If somebody doesn't respect you, then what's the point?
Exactly. Like there's certain stuff for me that's like there's no coming back. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's almost like you get caught cheating. Like your girl's never gonna trust you again,
yeah,
bro.
Like it's over.
Your significant other doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But
like
you might as well
once
just
you ruin trust and respect.
It's gone.
It's gone. Like it's
done. You might as well not even waste your time. But
yeah, and that's why like
the saga continues.
I mentioned this before. Like you see, there's like only certain situations where I will forgive someone from my past, but. A lot of situations for me is like no. I'm like more on that like, So I don't know. I feel like the beef still being somewhat active is expected. They did that podcast for years. Like when did it start? 2018, 2017. It was like 2016, right? It was long. But that's when it started getting popular.
It was like 5 years, I think, or 6 years or something like that.
But it started getting like really popular around 2018. I feel like, that's a long time to work with people and to be friends with people. Like Martin and Joe had a friendship like beyond any of this, you know. So it's expected. But it's just I just wish Joe could have just admit where he went wrong. Like he doesn't think he went wrong at all in anything, and that's when it's dangerous because you could feel how you feel about your side. Everybody has a side, but you have to be able to at one point see. Okay, yeah, you're right. I was wrong here. Like in no situation is anybody completely right, in my opinion. Would you agree? I mean, there's definitely situations where you can be completely right, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know.
But a lot of times when it's like issues, there's definitely two sides. Like I said, I agree with Joe in the sense of like maybe he saw them as just like, you know, I hired you. But then I agree with Roy Maul, like we were partners. So it's like there's two things could be true. Like, but it's where you could admit where you're wrong. Like if you stole that money, just say you stole the money. But you don't want to sound like he's a broke stealer, thief.
Supposedly it was an accounting issue from a.
I work in accounting. I mean, like, issues happen, but on a issues happen at a big Fortune 500, and barely because we're so scrutinized.
Well,
But for a small podcast, there was no accounting issue.
supposedly it was from a large accounting firm too. I forget who it was.
There was no accounting issue. I mean,
400K missing.
400K from like I said, at a big company, you might miss that, but not really, because that's even still considered material in some sense. But not really, because in my company, a lot of stuff that's considered material is millions. Like anything that's like considered like material is millions. But for a low scale, like for what they were doing, 400,000 is huge. That would probably be material for their podcast. There's no way that just went missing. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. We'll keep monitoring it, but they're both petty. But I love pettiness. I think life's too short to be petty, but sometimes it's required.
I don't. I like effective communication. I mean,
I'm at the age too where I do. The pettiness was kind of old me, but sometimes I still be feeling a little petty. Like sometimes, like, I see some TikTok sounds like that one was like, "That's why you mad." Like I'm gonna be petty. Like my life is lit, and I know a lot of people who are runs in my life, and life is trash.
You're almost 40.
So
You're almost 40.
Cause when people be like, "I wish you the best," and you're a liar. I hate when people say, "I wish you the best," because I know a lot of my old friends did not wish us well in our relationship, didn't wish me well in my success, because that was a lot of the issues. That was like the basis of a lot of my issues with friends. Is like
They might not know what you're doing right now.
they might not, but I think it's human nature to like be nosy and check in on people. I personally don't be keeping tabs, but yeah, if they were to keep tabs, it's like brand new car, master's degree,
Anyway,
apartment, Dubai,
moving along.
man.
Don't touch me.
I have sex for the last 8 years consistently, and that's why you mad. No, but for real, like life is lit, and I look good.
I like you less every day.
And I look good on top of that. Like, body's cute, face cute. So I just feel that way. Like, I'm petty sometimes like that. I feel like it's human nature to be like that. If someone did you dirty and they wished you bad and, like, didn't support you, of course you're going to be like, well, you didn't support me, I'll support you. I hope you fail in life. Because you thought I was being dramatic for expecting support. So I hope you don't get support in your life and that it crumbles. But I'm still about effective communication. I am. Because I'm the only person I really effectively communicated with any of, like, my past people. Like, I tried to nip that shit in the bud, but everybody else was scurry. So, anyways, yeah, we shall see what happens. I'm very interested to see what happens. Has there been any other small remarks? I haven't heard anything.
I haven't checked.
We gotta check. When was the last episode? Wasn't it when Rory and Mal did their part 2? Or was that?
I forget the order of operations.
The first thing was the Saha interview.
Mm-hmm.
Then Joe said something.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rory and Mal made a podcast where they copied the same title and they said part 2. You saw that?
I saw the title, but I didn't watch it.
You know, I didn't watch it.
I didn't do my due diligence.
So
Sorry,
we gotta
guys.
see what part 2, if they say anything. But yeah.
Moving along. So in big business news today, Kanye and Adidas have officially cut ties with one another. Let's shoot some confetti in the air.
I'm very on the fence with how I feel. Because it's the same thing like we just said with the Rory Mal podcast. Like, I hold on to moments, and Yeezy and Adidas was a moment. Like, I have a vivid memories, like, in, freshman year when we saw the 750s for the first time in the quad. I think the first time we saw them was together. It was like, remember it was like this white guy who dressed like a typical, like, hype beast? He went to Montclair, and he had them. I don't even remember him. But I remember seeing him, like, we was in the quad for some reason. He was walking from Bone towards Blanton, and I was like, 750s. So I have like a very connection to that era because that was like a huge part of like our college. Like, I remember us being in the IT lab trying to get that Thanksgiving Black Friday, deal, the three different colorways, like you going to Willowbrook early in the hour of the morning, trying to camp out the mall, and that being a fail. You getting your first pair and sending me. I just saw the screenshot on my phone. I asked you. I think it was like, I'm like, do we have a meeting for work today? And then you're like, I'll ask our boss. And then you send me a picture of you holding the thing as a phone, the 350 with the tan stripe. I forgot which one. Wasn't that one the hot
Copper.
the black the copper ones? Yeah. And I was like, F you. Like, I was so mad because you would use these first. And me on Thanksgiving one year trying to get the tan ones. I've heard what the all tan ones were called. But it's just so many memories with, and then I found the screenshot too when I hacked Snapchat, or I hacked like my phone to say that I was in New York to try to get a pair. Like, it's just so many funny stories of me trying to get a pair. And it's like, dang, like Adidas Yeezy, that was like a time. Like, me being like thirsty, seeing everybody with the shoes. Like, it is sad. It's like, dang. End of an era. So,
No, it's not. It's been the end of that.
Yeah, but I'm like weird. I'm emotional about everything.
But it's been the end of that.
It has been the end of that. Because the shoes have been like, it died. It died a long time ago. Probably in 2019, 2018.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Good.
I mean,
get the Yeezys off the streets. Get them off the streets.
I feel like Kanye wanted out of these deals, and that's the only reason why I'm content for him. But I also feel like you want out something, but when something actually happens, he's definitely sitting there with himself like, whoa.
It's a significant amount of money because
What?
you're making millions of dollars every release. Like at least $2 million every release, I would say. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of, especially with how much they drop now, in terms of quantities. It's a big hit financially.
Yeah. And I have a financial/business question for you. So with net worth, with the contracts, like I understand how net worth works. That's why I want to rant about
And
it
most
today.
people don't. Yeah.
I want to rant about it today because I was like, for example, I have tens of thousands in my bank accounts combined. Am I worth tens of thousands? No, I'm worth negative $100,000 because of my student loans. And plus my car, probably so 1,007. People don't understand that. Most people, our net worth will probably in our lifetimes will never even reach zero until old age because of mortgages and stuff. Like, we're constantly in debt. So people don't understand that. But the question I have for you is, that billionaire status, was that based off like potential future earnings? Like, was he expected to make that money, or is that just because the value of the stock? Like, when people are billionaires, a lot of people, do they ever actually have the anticipation of liquidizing that billion, or is it always just based in value of like imaginary value?
Usually it's, so there are people that would have $1 billion cash.
Yeah.
Some people do have that, I would assume.
I would assume people like Jeff Bezos.
Right, and even that's iffy because his net worth is $100 billion. For him to even have $1 billion cash, $1 billion cash is crazy. First of all,
It's very crazy.
But somebody like that, I would assume, to be able to have to have $1 billion in there.
At least one.
At least one. So to answer your question, the value that is placed on net worth with a deal like that, like the value of that partnership, is not necessarily indicative that basically, I mean, to answer your question, kind of like, it's like, yeah, basically. The anticipation is
anticipation of future earnings.
Yeah, it's that like the value that somebody would be willing to pay for the intellectual property to Yeezy would be valued at XYZ.
So the buyout, like if like years from now, if this was still going and someone wanted to buy out the company, they would pay that.
That would be the value of it.
Okay. And then he would be able to cash out.
Right. You would get that as a cash
because
payment.
that's what somebody was saying that too. They're saying with this contract, there might be a clause, because usually there's a clause in contracts where it's like, when the contract dissolves, that there's like a payout, and people are wondering if Kanye's gonna get like at least like $2 billion or $1 billion from Adidas as like a payout clause.
Nah, I don't think
I
so.
was like, I don't know, but I do know that is a thing,
because that might work. That doesn't work in I don't know. I don't have the details. I don't think that that's applicable to this situation because it was a partnership, so it's not like there's anything to pay out necessarily.
Yeah,
it's not
they
like
agreed on partner terms.
Right, there's nothing for Adidas to pay out because it's not like you get paid out if somebody buys your intellectual property or something like that, but you're not going to get paid for the like, it's not like a company's dissolving. It's just a contract. The partnership
is split and going separate ways.
Yeah, they're no longer working together, so you're not going to be owed a severance package or like anything like that for the split up. But So the split up is official, of course.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's like the first thing I woke up to
crazy.
this morning. I read your message first, and I went on Twitter and I was like, just can't. It's just crazy. Like, could we see him when this relationship started? So it's like literally watching like a relationship end that you watched start.
Listen, guys. I'm not emotional.
I'm emotional about stuff. I'm weird.
Is what it is. But it's over the supposed anti-Semitic comments and pressure from the general public, and I believe employees at Adidas as well put pressure on the company to cut ties.
Yeah, German company. Yep.
So yeah, the partnership is over, and subsequently everybody's been talking about the impact of Kanye's net worth because
and Forbes broke the news quickly. They couldn't wait because all his disparaging remarks he made about Forbes. They couldn't wait to get the article out there.
Of course, somebody talk shit.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
You had to read the article. It was very passive aggressive.
No, I'm cool. I don't get the whole Forbes thing anyway.
It's so weird. Like, you don't know how much this man actually got. That's the crazy part too. Net worth is all based off estimates. They don't know how much he actually got.
Well, when Forbes reports, the people send them their financial statements. That's how they validate that. So they actually do know for certain what you're worth. They don't just guess. Forbes doesn't do that net worth thing, that internet games that other people play with.
So do you think Kanye was right in the fact that, like, because sometimes, and Nicki's like this too, and it sucks because, like, I always mention them as two favorite artists. Sometimes it's hard for me to really, because sometimes I just think people could just be very paranoid. But also I do think that this industry is mad evil, and there's stuff that we have no idea what's going on. Like, we're not in this world, and I definitely believe in racism and evilness. But do you think Forbes really has some type of vendetta in not properly reporting his earnings?
Has he given them the documentation?
I'm not sure. I feel like he claims he has, and then he just feels like they always devalue him or undervalue him. So like when he even said, like, when he first became a billionaire, that he feel like Forbes like wouldn't put it out. And I feel like the way Kanye is, he definitely submitted paperwork, or his management or something. Like, he trying to flex, rightfully so. But like, that's why, like, sometimes I wonder, because it's like, like, is it just paranoia? Like, is there actual vendetta?
Well, let me check, because if they report on other black people, then I don't see how. Like,
yeah,
could there be a vendetta? Yeah, like,
realistically, Rihanna hasn't said anything about that, but they report.
Realistically, if I'm a company, right, and you say something disparaging to me, I'm not saying that he said anything first, but assuming he did, if you say something to me, as my company, I could do whatever I want. So if I don't want to report your earnings, or if I want to misreport, I could do whatever I want, realistically.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird because it's like, well, why? Because I'm black.
No, because if you said something crazy to me.
But he didn't start talking crazy about them until they started doing that.
But I don't know. I don't see what a benefit would be, because somebody else can just report his net worth. I don't know what the benefit of Forbes doing that would be.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see the benefit either. But like I said, like, we could be wrong because we don't know the weird shit that be happening.
Yeah, like Byron Allen is one of the wealthiest. He might be the wealthiest black person now. Because I think he was initially, and then Kanye dethroned him. There's mad Forbes articles up here.
Yeah. But what's his net worth? Because, like, don't they do, like, the earnings, the annual earnings?
Yeah. Let's see. 500 million.
That's Forbes?
As of 2022. No, that's wealthygorilla.com, which is hilarious. I saw somebody do like no, that joke, it was mad funny. It was a streamer. They were looking up somebody else's net worth that's a black streamer. And they said Wealthy Gorilla.
That's a little, I mean, I'm sure it's not just black people in there, but you couldn't think of anything.
I don't know if
they're reporting his deals, but
he probably doesn't send, because that's the thing.
You have to send.
They can't report these things without it being a factual thing, so they have to see your financial statements and everything else like that. Not saying that they didn't.
And they had to see your deals and all that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're not, like, blackballing him, but I wouldn't see the benefit or point in doing that. If anything, it brings them more money, more traction.
Yeah.
But
like, yeah.
That's still, they might not care. But yeah, so partnership is over. Adidas, Kanye's net worth is taking a huge hit because the biggest portion of that was the value of the partnership with Adidas. Yeah. So now that's
and it's crazy because a few days ago he just said 11 billion. Don't know where he got 11 from, but we're not him. We don't know behind the scenes, but now they're saying estimated 400 million. So if that's true, if you went from 11 billion, this is all estimates, so that 400 could be higher. a big drop, but
Could be lower too.
it could be. And the thing is, it's a big drop. But like I mentioned this on Twitter, and I mentioned this to you. It's funny. You have a lot of people on the internet laughing about it. You have a lot of people like, "Oh my God, I hope this should teach him a lesson." I'm like, the average person will never even touch 1 million in their lifetime. The average person won't even touch 10 million, hundreds of million. Like he, like you just put that LeBron clip. Like people was on the internet going crazy. Like, ha ha, that's what he gets. I'm like, ha ha. Do you even make 50K? Like, why don't you go ha ha yourself back to the freaking call center? Like, what's funny? What's funny to me is your life. You're laughing at somebody because they went from worth billions to still hundreds of millions, almost $500 million. That's funny to you. Your life is funny to me. Like, and this is me including people like us. Even people like us who are, I would consider financially comfortable, are broke in the grand scheme of things. Our net worth is in the negatives. And our money is minuscule compared to what he has, even liquid cash. So I'm like, what's funny? Like, people are weird to me. Because that's my whole thing. You could not agree with what he said. You could be like, he deserves these deals cut. But to be laughing at money that you can't even grasp looks like or feels like, it's just funny to me. Like, this delusion, honestly. But that's something I had an issue with. Because you could disagree with him and say, okay, I disagree with his comments. I think this is deserved. But to sit there and be like, LMAO, oh, that's what he gets. Like, he's going broke. He's going to have to do... And look, Lil Duval, he's going to have to do a Millennium Tour. Nigga, Lil Duval, do you even got $1? Like, you definitely... I don't know what his situation is, but he definitely gets me flopped. Like, don't got no money. Like, you just got all these people who just talking and laughing and kikiing. I'm like... If I looked at your bank account right now, I would probably laugh. If I looked at your home, I would probably laugh. If I looked at what you drive, I would probably laugh. If I looked at your job, I would probably laugh. So I don't know what's so funny. Like, I don't know what's so funny. I was getting irked by that. People are just very delusional about their own situations. Do you feel like people, especially Black people, take joy in stuff like this?
Oh, 100%.
And it kind of goes what we were just talking about before with like the self-hatred.
Yeah, I think we definitely, and to clarify, this is not necessarily, because obviously people wouldn't be able to say these things if he didn't say what he said. Mm-hmm. Now, somebody might have to point out to me what was so crazy.
I still don't know. I watched every interview. She didn't say.
I do all that, but
no, I did, because I'm like, you gonna go compare somebody to Hitler? Let me see what he said. If you gonna compare somebody to Hitler, like a fucking psychopath, you gonna compare somebody to Hitler? Like, that's so evil of you to compare him for just saying that they have power to Hitler. And he needs to be on his meds. No, you need to go get his evaluation, and you need to put on some medication. If you're gonna compare him to Hitler, like, you're the psychopath here. You're the crazy person. Because that's so evil to even make that comparison, right? Editing pictures, putting them side by side. Like, what? I have like 200 people blocked on Twitter because I'm not about to see that stupid psychotic like stuff on my timeline. But there's definitely people finding joy in this. Black people too.
Yeah, it's just...
And it's Black celebrities too who are flops themselves, like Lil Duval, like Adam 22. Even that Tariq Nasheed guy that I follow, I'm like... And I be agreeing with him myself. I'm like, I did not agree with his, like, he, when people spell the words like lowercase, uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, Kanye's a billionaire. Like, you sound salty too. Like, cause you make movies, you want to be a billionaire. I bet. So you sound like you hating. Cause why are you so happy about him not being a billionaire anymore? Like, it's just a lot of like Black people who have a check mark showed their hand today.
Well, it's obviously everything's for the retweets.
Yeah.
I think people orgasm when they get a retweet.
They do. A little excitement in their dull lives.
And I don't know why you're overly passionate about it, but...
Because I hate hypocrisy.
I think...
And I hate haters.
I think that people... I don't know what it is. It's definitely Man, you know, it's when somebody is able to do. People would trade their lives for his. And this is not even a defense of Kanye as much as it is of a defense of Logic. Um, it pains people to see other people succeed beyond anyone's dreams. Like, you couldn't even dream to be a billion. People don't even know what $1 billion means. So
It's a good thing I saw. Someone said 1,000,000 seconds is like something. It's like 11 days. 1,000,000,000 seconds is 31 years.
yeah.
Like,
So it's definitely our community specifically, because it's that thing where like people call it craps in a barrel, but it's people like when other people get knocked down a peg, because that just means that they're closer to them.
yeah.
But the delusion in this situation is that there's still 400 million estimated pegs that you got to get knocked down.
Exactly.
And money's not everything, but just on a logic perspective, people want to, people don't like people's success. Like we spoke about this with TikTok, what was his name?
DeAndre Brown.
Where, you know, people,
A black man.
success is cool until people feel threatened or they realize that they're not doing the same things.
And until that person's no longer relatable to you. Because Kanye was more relatable to people when he was still just coming up. But now he's not. DeAndre Brown was relatable when he was making work from home content. But now that he's a full-time influencer, nope, not relatable to me no more. Because I'm still working my job.
Yeah. So it's the same thing applicable here. And of course, again, people wouldn't be able to say these things if he didn't do whatever they accuse him of doing, the White Lives Matter. And I'm not saying that was an accusation because he actually did that, but whatever people's reasoning for it is, in our community, we're always going to try to drag each other down no matter what.
And it's almost like people were waiting for it, you know?
Oh, of course.
Like you could tell this tweet's been in the drafts. Like it's just like people waiting on it. It's like that's my thing. It's like I said, you could disagree with him and whatever. You could give your critique, but it's the people that are hype and happy and laughing. This what's killing me. Like what's funny? Like I said, like that's my main thing. What is funny? Like
well, the problem
look inward if you want to laugh.
It's just people like to see other people get knocked down.
Yeah, and I hate that. Like I said, that's why you said why I get passionate about it. Cause I hate a hater. Like I hate a bum who hates. Cause I feel like only bum people hate. Like if you're really happy with your life and your situation, you're not hating on the internet. And that's why I get passionate about it, because it could be anybody. I just don't like the hater stuff, especially when it comes to black people. Like it's always within our community. Always. Anytime any black person gets knocked down or canceled, here you go, people kikiing. Like I think it's a crabs and barrel. Like I said, everybody wants to be on an equal playing field. It's not fair. What's not fair? Life's not fair, honestly, if you want to go that far. But what's not fair? That this person worked hard and got to where they're at because of that. We watched the doc, Genius.
I think what rubs people the wrong way is that, you know, somebody like him specifically, like he said what he was gonna do and then did it, and I think that like hurts certain people.
That's me.
Don't bring yourself.
No, I'm saying I made that song. So I had my master's degree before I'm 23, and what did I do? I got my master's degree when I was 22 years old.
Anyway, I think that bothers people because it's like
it does.
When there's nothing you can do about it, then it hurts. Like I've seen in moments in sports where it's like you have a Hall of Fame or a legend on the court or on the field right now, and they're about to do what they do. That is the reason why they're a Hall of Famer. There's nothing you can do about it, and that hurts people.
Like Curry and LeBron, I feel like they get a lot of hate. Yeah, you see they're still breaking records.
Right.
And you're at home.
Or like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, like when you see these people and they go out there and, you know, people count you out, you're too old, you're this, and they just keep doing it. I think that it really like burns people's soul and they can't live with it. And then they start bringing up a bunch of irrelevant things. And this is not about Kanye, but this is just about haters in general. Mm-hmm. And then they just bring up all these irrelevant things. Oh, they did this, they cheated, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, the result is the result, and there's nothing anybody can say or do about it. Like, it's just what it is.
Yep. And the same people did far worse things. That's another thing I hate too. Like all the things people say, like everybody calling Kanye all these names. I can guarantee you, if all the things that you said in private were ever publicized, it would be a disaster. You would probably lose your job. Like, people definitely act like they don't be saying stuff like that behind their backs. And of course, yeah, maybe that's the point. Keep it to yourself. But it's like, stop acting like you're this perfect human being. Like, just because you're not you're not famous. You're a nobody. So nobody's checking for what you say or doing, you know? This be irking me. That's why I had to stay off the internet today. I had to stay off because I was blocking so many people. And then you have like the white older crowd that, like, you see their profile picture and they're all happy about it too, and it makes me wonder what their intention is. Because like, it's the same thing. You can still be a hater just because you're a different skin tone, but it's also, I think there's underlying racism, right? Like, happy to see the black man fail. Okay, I want to see this type of energy for Epstein and all that stuff, and Weinstein.
Who's going to trial? Or there was some court thing that popped up recently. I'm like, damn, I thought he died.
It's crazy. Like, the energy is not the same. But when a black man does something wrong or says something wrong, it's so quick. Like, cancel him, take away the deals, burn the Yeezys. Like, and from people who never even listened to an interview, never listened to a song, don't even know anything about him. It's just they see a black man saying something they don't like.
But this is the way it's gonna go in the future for everything, because it's just like J. Cole said, and I did agree 100%. Eventually, there's gonna be no famous people because everybody's gonna be famous, and that world I don't want to live in because, well,
We're getting there.
We'll be dead. But everybody's an influencer. Everybody has some sort of million followers on. Everybody got all this shit, and it's an unfortunate place to live in because everybody, of course, is entitled to their opinions, but the longer social media exists, every second that it exists, it makes everybody less intelligent. It makes everybody have weird personality disorders. Mm-hmm. It removes logic out of situations. It adds emotion to situations, mm-hmm. which, emotion is flawed. And I think we're just headed in a weird sort of future.
Like, when people say Black Mirror, no, I believe it.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
It's gonna be. I'm like, it actually makes me scared. Cause I just feel like it's gonna be so warped and messy. Like, I think a sign of that, like you said with the logic stuff, is like people even say like their attention span is like bad. They say they can't even like read books anymore. Like they get bored so easily because they're so used to like that quick TikTok, like swipe for the next things. People get mad when you do a story time on TikTok. It's not all in one part. I'm like, but people back in the day used to read books where the second book didn't come out till months later, or watch movies or shows where stuff didn't come out till months and years later. And you got people mad because someone could have fit a whole story time in a 1 minute TikTok. Like, that scares me. That like this world is so like
that's why
fast.
That's why I like YouTube or like any video, anything, because the thing about it is you don't get that same reaction on Twitch. You don't get that same reaction on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Like, YouTube has shorts, but you can still make content and say what you have to say without it being a whole bunch of weird, like you don't get the same interactions or stuff like that you get on TikTok or like Instagram.
Like, usually like comments are usually actually like constructive, or either whether they're criticizing or not. It's not like trolls.
And the thing is, I could just stop the comments, and you can do that on other social medias, but it's not the same. But I feel like YouTube is more like, I don't know. I just enjoy more. I think Twitter is the worst platform, and not that it would happen, but man, I would love if Elon deleted Twitter. I think
low key, I would.
I think it would be better for society if Twitter was gone.
I hope only thing I would hope is that we could archive our like tweets and pictures, and I put them on hard drives. Like, at least go back and look. But I even made a joke the other day. Like, somebody tweeted something, and I was like, I hope Elon deletes this app. And somebody replied to like, chill out. I'm like, no, like, don't tell me to chill out. I hope he fucking deletes this app. Like,
I've said this mad long ago. I feel like Twitter is like it's like a petri dish.
Yeah.
Just brewing bacteria of like just bad thoughts. And this is what I said before. I'm like, people, there's way larger issues, and people have way worse ideas about things that are just spread on Twitter. And it's just allowed to be like retweeted and posted, and there's no like backlash for it.
There's no consequence.
And I hate that.
That reminds me of like this tweet that just went viral. It was like this woman that said like she likes making coffee with her husband. And they sit in their garden every morning and talk. And now you have all these haters in the comments like, well, when I get up in the morning, I have to take my OCD medicine and do this and then go to work. Okay. Sorry, your life is ass. Like, I'm putting mad, or it's, oh, that's not gonna last long. Really, you guys must be in the honeymoon phase. He probably hates it. He probably don't want to do that. It's like, why you guys? Is this so much negativity, haters? Oh, you're privileged because you could do that. I had to go to work.
No, see, but the thing about me though, and
it makes me mad.
I mean what I say and say what I mean and I do what I mean. That's why I deleted it. Because for what? Like, I swear to God, not even joking. To anybody still listening, my life became infinitely better once I deleted Twitter. I don't have no app to scroll through. I don't give a.
I haven't benefited from that app in years.
Yeah, I don't get a benefit from listening to a bunch of uneducated people talk about a topic. I don't care about anybody's feelings. I don't care how you're doing today. I don't. I don't want to follow anybody. Nobody's thoughts are that important to the point where I need to see it.
And that's what somebody said too. Like, isn't it crazy? Like that we literally are consuming people's thoughts. Like that's not natural. Your thoughts are in your head. Like these are things that like, well, it's not natural to consume at such a high mass and at a high rate and speed. People's thoughts.
And the reason why I have an Instagram is just pictures, and I barely even use it. I
have been on Instagram in weeks.
I mostly just have an Instagram because I make music, and that's like a kind of easy way for people to get in contact with you. It's like, oh, you got Instagram or like whatever. TikTok I consume because there's no words.
And that's what I like about TikTok too, is that you could alter what you see for the most part. Like their algorithm is really good. So like if you just want a place to laugh, you're most likely gonna have that. That's all you interact with. Like you see your For You page and like
it's all Jersey Club.
Yeah, it's just like fun. And mine is all fashion, which I love. You know, I go in there, I get inspired. I see some funny stuff. The chicken salad thing. It's like this is what Twitter used to be. Honestly, is what TikTok is now. But then I get worried because then there is a segment of TikTok where it is the think pieces still and the haters. But you could easily avoid that. Twitter, it's hard to avoid those things.
Because everybody think that they're intellectual.
Yeah, everybody thinks they're intellectual. Everybody's a hater. Everybody's bitter. Everybody's life sucks. So it's just a cesspool, like you said, petri dish of just miserable people who hate themselves. They hate how they look. They're single and sad and justify that and call you pick-me's and do all this stuff. It's just a cesspool of bitter, angry, ugly people.
You know why? It's the same.
Who think they're smart.
It's the same problem with Instagram. It's the same thing. So like Twitter. The concept of Twitter itself, for me, in my opinion, people can, be offended. Please feel free. Anybody that has Twitter, and of course I had Twitter, and so I fall or fell into it depending on how you want to look at it.
And you didn't just have Twitter, you low-key had Twitter fame, so you experienced like
craziness,
the whole 360 of it.
So anybody that wants to have an app in which they can tweet out their thoughts to people and they want people to see what they think. It's kind of like weirdo shit. It's like, why do you want or care what people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, cause I feel like if Twitter, like I feel like what Facebook was when it first started it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing right now? What's your
status?
So
I think that's fine because it's like you want to keep up with your family members. Oh, I'm on a road trip to Mexico. Oh, I'm making a really good salad. It's like, oh, then you can talk about recipes. But then Twitter is like you're just tweeting. Oh, I hate men because this guy's staring at me right now. I was like, huh? What do you? That's why my favorite response on social media is, "What do you want us to do with that information?" Okay.
And so,
yeah, so what are we supposed to do with that thought? Like,
and you could say the same thing about this platform, of course.
Yeah,
you could, but the difference is there's really no difference.
No, the difference is we're giving. But
we're having an intellectual.
Yeah, we're having intellectual conversation, and we're giving opinions on. It would be the same as watching like an informational video. Like it's like you're getting opinions on things that are happening in the world through people. It's not like you're just getting our what you'd call it, like you like when your thoughts just run to you. Yeah, it's not like you're just getting our stream of consciousness. Like we're giving you constructed thoughts about how we feel on a topic. Like we're not just talking about like our thoughts.
That's also why I deleted it too, because I used to do that. Like most infamously, all I would do on Twitter would be tweet something and then like delete it, like either the next day or like 3 hours later, because I'm just tweeting how I feel in this particular moment. And when you do that, that's dangerous because I'm human. Everybody's human.
Yeah.
I hate when people point that out. Like, no shit, we're all human. But when you do that, you subject yourself to this cancel culture, and we're going to pull up your tweets from 17 years ago and tell everybody how you were such a horrible person. Yeah. So doing those stream of consciousness sorts of things, I don't want to give anybody the ability to take probably a 5-second thought that I had and then try to apply it to my whole life.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to give people the ability or opportunity to do that. But
Yeah, and I think that's why I try to be more aware about my Twitter. Like, I only tweet things when I I'm trying to just tweet things when it's not just the thoughts coming to my head. Is when I actually have like a opinion that I want to share or a fact that I want to share.
And even with that, and I know I do that on this podcast, but with Twitter, because people could clip this podcast, whatever, I'm fine with that. But when it came to Twitter, that was a big problem I had. I'm like, people are gonna screenshot this potentially and do whatever they want with it.
Yeah.
It could end up somewhere. I have no idea where it's gonna end up, which is fine because obviously I'm posting it on a public platform. Like, you should expect that. But it's just like, I don't want my thoughts necessarily even written down, even though we're recording it here. Something about having my thought at a particular moment written down is like, people will really try to apply that to your whole life. Because there were some tweets that I tweeted when I was like 16, they probably would.
Yeah, I found some old tweets that for me, nothing like too crazy, but definitely some stuff that's kind of like, if I was famous, somebody would definitely use. And I guess some stuff is not. Some stuff is more so just your stream of consciousness. I get like some people who actually got called out for stuff. I think rightfully so. Like, what's that guy that does Hollywood Unlocked? Jason Lee. You ever hear of him? Mm-hmm. He's like the owner of Hollywood Unlocked, friends with Cardi B. I think he has some like, the Grammys gave him like some type of like that video by Troy that you said about Nicki that just popped up. I watched it because I watched stuff without you on board, but I watched his video and he showed like, and it just reminded me of it, like Jason Lee had like a deal with like the Grammys or something, and then the Barbs hated him because of like he says so many mean stuff about Nicki since he's like clearly on Cardi's side and they're friends. So the Barbs brought up some old tweets, and Jason Lee's older, so the tweets that he was making in 2010, he was like in his 30s already. And the stuff he was saying is for your 30s was inexcusable. It was like stuff about like, light skinned people look better than black people, like dark skins, and like just just very like racially colorist stuff about black people. Like, oh, black people are ghetto. Oh, I'm in this club and it's all black people. Hopefully I don't get shot. Like stuff like that. Like, you're in your 30s, that's inexcusable. So I feel like stuff like that is, for me, it's like, okay, that's grounds to be called out. Like, you was way too grown in your 30s, and you probably still feel this way. In my opinion, if you felt this way at 30. But when we first made Twitter, we was like 14. I don't want to be judged based off stupid stuff I was saying at 14 or 15, Or even 19, 20. We were immature in college. Said some stupid stuff.
Yeah. But anyway, back to Kanye.
Yeah.
The deal is over. People's reactions are weird. Of course, Kanye gave everybody the platform to do so because of his actions. And while the way he said it was horrible, the sentiment is understood.
Yeah.
It's not understood by everybody, which is fine. You can't.
And it's not anti-Semitic to point out a fact. Like, if them as the common denominator is their religion of seeing who's in power. And like Kanye said, it's more of a compliment. It's more of like, I'm jealous of that. Like, he said he was jealous. Like, he wishes that we could be like that. Us as the black people could come together like that and agree on stuff and be in power. But he was also saying like, yeah, I'm jealous, but you also have to be aware of like the shiesty stuff that does go on with some of these people, and not necessarily that the religion is because they're shiesty, but that's just a common denominator.
Are all the people that he named actually Jewish? Because I feel like they're not.
Who did he name besides Bernard Arnault?
I don't know. So let's skip my question.
And maybe that's the thing. I think that's what that guy was saying on the podcast I was watching earlier. He was saying that he feels like maybe a better approach would have been Kanye calling out these people individually. And I think that would have been a better approach too. I mean, I still might have got him cut from business because people don't want to work with somebody who's calling you out by name. But I feel like that would have been more proactive and not deemed if he's just coming at them because of their religion. If he was actually listening the person and what they did wrong that he feels wrong.
Yeah.
That would have been way more effective and way more gangster, in my opinion.
Gangster.
Can you stop?
But yeah, so the deal's lost. In terms of him getting his net worth back will definitely be a tough task because the only way to really get that number back up, unfortunately, would be to do a partnership. But who's going to work with him? Probably no one at this point.
I think if he was able to somehow, and like this, the thing about Kanye is like, I mean,
Never come out.
no, but the thing about Kanye is like, I can't say this for sure because we don't know everything, and sometimes he could have like ruses, but he could be having some stuff plotting behind the scenes that we really don't know about, and like he could just come out. Cause he claims he already has factories being built and stuff. So like that's his main thing is the infrastructure. Like he doesn't have the infrastructure, but he said a few weeks ago, like Sway had the answers. Like he agrees that like he needed all that stuff, and I think since he came to that consensus that Sway had the answers and that he needs the infrastructure that he didn't have before when he first took the deal. He might have the stuff. He might have the infrastructure. He might have stuff like aligned. And the only thing that's worrisome is some of the stuff that was aligned could have been cut. But like we talked about it earlier, you do need people still. Like he still needs people shipping partners. And if people like FedEx and USPS or UPS decide that they don't want to work with him because of what he said, who's shipping your stuff? DHL maybe he might have some better luck with international brands. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll create his own shipping service. But that's the answer. If you want to say these things and call people out who are in power, you're gonna have to be in power in every element. And money talks, so he'll be able to get the infrastructure. I feel like people who make the shoes and stuff, can money talk at the end of the day, and you can kind of keep that quiet. Like I think people could keep their vendors on the low. Like you don't have to. That doesn't have to be publicized. But we will see.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think he'll be able to do it on his own? Or you think his sneakers are done with?
Well, I think that he should have been done this on his own. I think. Here's the thing. If you want to do something, what's the phrase? And it's probably not even applicable here. If you want to go faster, go at it alone. If you want to go longer, like partner up with people, go together. I think the phrase is something like that. The thing is, I feel like it's not necessarily applicable here. I brought up the phrase to basically say that this would be the opposite. I think that if you want things to go faster, you partner up. Not necessarily that it'll go longer, but if you want to get money really quickly, you partner up, right? So, for example, Elon wanted to buy Twitter for $44 billion. He partnered up with a bunch of people and got $13 billion that they're giving him to give to the shareholders of Twitter to buy it, right? That's quick money. They got $13 billion quickly. They were like, hey, we got the funding. Here you go. People throwing away $400 million, $1 billion, $2 billion, giving it all away, right? That's quick money. Now, the problem is, that's the quickest way to raise money in business is through funding. And the thing is, the best time to have done that was when he had his partnership, because that's when you have the most amount of leverage and people will be more willing to give you more money and you're able to bring in partners quickly.
Not after you just lost everything.
Right. So I think he can do it, but the problem is he kind of like, he lost his leverage. So now he's going to have to do this on his own, basically.
Yeah. And now it's like people are definitely scared to work with him. They either don't want to, or they're scared of the backlash, or they're scared that he will turn on them one day. So it's going to be hard. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who definitely still are going to support him. Yeah. Because not everybody agrees with what happened. And I think he proved his point, too. That once you speak on these people is a wrap for you. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say I do think he kind of wanted this, because you heard his interviews. I mean, he also admitted in this other podcast that we just watched that he was hurt. Like, this is 20 years. Like, none of us understand like that type of like what he's been going through for years. And I can see him just exploding, you know. But you heard in his interviews, like he said, you're gonna have to come kill me, like if you want me to be quiet. So I think this is them killing him financially. I honestly think he's content with it. Like he might be a little bit upset and like, damn, like did I fuck up? But I also think that he does probably have a freeing feeling right now. Like he probably feels like I'm free. You know, like all these stupid contracts I signed that probably I should have looked at deeper anyway. Now I'm free.
I said
And
before,
even if he doesn't care for the billionaire status and he just is content, which I don't think he is because he's just such a creative, he's still fine. He doesn't have to work a day even with 400 million net worth. Like he's good. He's set for life. And what were we saying?
I said before he should have been dropped the deal with Adidas, business wise.
Yeah. I think after like 2018, after 2018 when they just kept dropping all these ugly colorways and stuff, it kind of fizzled out. The slides were big for him, I think, but they were kind of useless. Like he should have did this on his own, but I know he couldn't in the beginning because he needed the infrastructure.
But the thing is, you can make your own infrastructure. That's the only thing.
You can.
Yo, because like I know that the manufacturer plants, like you're not gonna be able to compete with Adidas and Nike with apparel brands on the manufacturing part. But with everything else, it's not that. And I've never done it, so who am I to speak? But in my opinion, based on information that's provided to me in my own individual research, because I've looked into this, not because of him, but just in general, because I'm interested in how the whole supply chain thing works with retail, how it goes from a piece of paper design to being in the store. He can pretty much do everything, and he's been able to do everything except for probably the manufacturing part, which of course is the biggest thing. But he's been able, like, it's not hard to get. Like, I have a USPS business account. Like, anybody can do that.
Yeah, I think that's his issue.
So you can get your shipping really easily. You can pay company, like, it's not that hard to like look into that part of it.
And he has enough money to do that too. Like I feel like he just tried to stray away from the grassroots, if that makes sense. Like he wanted to jump into being a mogul so quickly, and it happened. He didn't. I think he didn't want to build up slowly like he did with his music.
You know what he did is he took partnerships to gain information about the industry, and that is a mistake.
Yeah, and that's when he kind of said that on Drink Champs. I think like he said he kind of used this as like an internship. Like where he was just learning and stuff.
Wrong strategy.
Bad strategy, yeah.
To a certain extent, because like,
but he probably did learn a lot.
Yeah, he probably did learn a lot. Because a lot of designers that we look at their individual brand names now, like Tom Brown or Raf Simons or Helmut Lang or any of these people, they worked underneath other designers at fashion houses, and they learn how to do all their own manufacturing and how that whole process works, and then they end up doing their own individual name brand fashion. So like there is some value, there is immense value in doing that, but when you're putting yourself financially tied to the partnership and it's not something that you really want, that's where it's tough. Because where he could have benefited from is he could have got that information from, he probably could have just asked somebody as opposed to jumping into a partnership, and then he would have been able to do it himself. Because you know what, all black building with just the YZY on it would do? People pulling up in there all
taking pictures.
You already know what's coming.
It makes me mad because he could have bended this, and I get though like him working with Adidas though definitely boosted his popularity like as a designer. Because like remember, like we just said, like Nicki, her stuff that she did flopped, and she has a cult following, and her stuff still flopped. So who's to say that his stuff would be just as successful? But I think it's hard because the Yeezy thing definitely. I mean, the Adidas deal definitely boosted him into like he kind of needed them, and it definitely boosted his popularity. Like now, I think people definitely trust his designs, love his designs. People definitely still gonna buy his stuff. Like I think he. But now it's just worrisome because some people are probably not going to buy their stuff. Like you're not going to get that support from celebrities, which was crucial to him too. Like having Kim by his side, like during like in the prime of their marriage, wearing all his stuff, and everybody wanted to dress like her and be like her. Like that was a huge help too. But I think he did get himself to the point where he established. Like I'm sure the shoes are still going to sell out. If he does something on his own, it's still going to sell out. Like you're never going to get rid of that.
Of course.
But the hype beasts are still going to hype beast. His fans, including me, still support him. So I think he'll be all right. And that'll be a cool redemption arc if you able to come back, like you said, get the Yeezy building, like make it hard, like make it lit, and just do your own thing. Like I don't think he needs these people as much as he thinks he does, but I think he struggles internally with wanting to be up with these moguls and like working with these companies that he dreamed to work with and get their approval instead of just doing it on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Which he definitely can now. And maybe he with the information he has, he'll be successful. But from what I get with him too, his brain seems like it be racing. I honestly don't even know how he gets stuff done. Because for me, his brain seems like it be racing between too many thoughts. So it's actually shocking to me that he actually gets things done. But method to his madness. But we'll see. It's gonna be an interesting future. I would love to hear what he has to say about this. We haven't heard anything yet, but I would love. That's why we need to get an interview with him. Whoever the next interview is gonna do numbers. Who has another interview with him, I would love Kanye if you're watching. Come on, we will ask you some good questions.
Come on down. We gotta get another mic.
And we would give him the platform to speak his mind.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he would give me anxiety though. Honestly.
No, I wouldn't.
I would be in here like making my heart race.
And I would be sitting here. So when you say this,
that would be crazy though. Can you imagine pulling up to our apartment
to the crib?
He'll probably look at me and be like, "Ooh, 700 square feet."
Like that painting. But
yeah, we will give you a platform to talk Kanye. Yay, if you want to come on.
See, you already disrespecting the guest. You got anything else? No, you don't. Thank you, guys.
You see the hat, you know where I stand. I think that's all I gotta say. No.
Thank you guys for watching.
Kanye. Yay. Pro yay.
So yeah.
No. I'm pro.
Thank you guys
I'm
for
pro
watching.
Freedom of speech. I'm pro.
This has
holding people
been
accountable, and I'm pro.
The A Couple of Things
dismantling
podcast
the empire of whoever's
with
in charge.
Alex and Maul.
It's Mal. It's not Maul.
Mal like.
Yeah, Mal's kind of doesn't make sense either. Because my name's Malika, so it would actually be like Mul, like MUL.
This is Alex and Maul.
Can you stop saying that? Because you're gonna get us flagged. Honestly, you could. You actually might. Saying something like that will get our videos flagged. Like YouTube is not something to play with. You can't just say that because that's how your stuff gets clipped. No, for real. Why would you say that? It's not funny, babe. Take it back for real before you get me mad.
And we will see you guys next time.
Okay, watch what's gonna happen after this. Watch what's not gonna happen after this.
Thank you.